Cory Sanden and this week's special expert guest for fishing information, new techniques to catch more fish, and the most current scoop on what's happening in the water. Let's Talk Hookup is sponsored in part by Royal Polaris, the world's finest long-range sports fisher. By Ford, the official truck of Let's Talk Hookup, and Shimano Rods and Reels. Fish with the best. Shimano. Get ready for the fastest 2 hours on radio with the hosts of Let's Talk Hookup, Pete Gray, Rock Cod Rick Maxa, and Cory Sanden.
Good morning, anglers, and welcome to Let's Talk Hookup. Man, do we have a great show for you today. We're going to be talking all kinds of fishing and a lot of fun, too, and a couple of great guys to do it with. We have John White and Nick Johnson from Dana Landing. Going to be a lot of fun. So much stuff going on with that great yellowfin happening, swordfish on the beach, bay bass, and more. You stay tuned. It's going to be a great one. You're listening to Let's Talk Hookup, Southern California's sport fishing voice on the Let's Talk Hookup app and the Sports Grid Radio Network. You got us okay there, Chris?
Electric is yours.
We're all
this
good.
Smart can only be called F-150. Only at your San Diego County Ford dealers. They'll be glad to hook you up. Been thinking of purchasing a new outboard? Don't delay and purchase a brand new Yamaha outboard and a great deal during Yamaha's Wide Awake for Spring sales event. From now until December 6, 2024, eligible new 25 to 2.5 horsepower outboards come with up to $500 in dealer credit. New Yamaha 450 to 425 horsepower outboards include 7 years of coverage protection, and new 350 to 30 horsepower outboards come with 6 years of coverage protection. No need to delay during Yamaha's Wide Awake for Spring sales event. Visit your local Yamaha dealer today. Yamaha, reliability starts here. Offers December 6, 2024. Subject to change, other restrictions and conditions apply. What models included? New 2.5 to 25 horsepower four-stroke outboard is dealer credit up to $500 based on horsepower. Ford's MSRP value of goods and/or services purchased at the authorized participating dealer that sold the outboard at no extra cost to consumer. New 425 to 450 horsepower is the 24-month Yamaha extended added 60-month factory limited warranty. New 30 to 350 horsepower is the 36-month Yamaha extended service added to 36-month factory limited warranty. The authorized participating Yamaha outboard dealer for details. Cannot be used with any other Yamaha.
Many years ago, Baja pioneer Bob Van Wormer found the area he called the Great Fish Trap in the East Cape of southern Baja and built what is now regarded as the premier East Cape resorts of Palmas de Cortez and Playa del Sol. Today, following in their father's footsteps, Bob's sons, Bobby, Chucky, and Eddie, have taken Palmas de Cortez and Playa del Sol to new levels with the largest sport fishing fleet in Mexico, a luxurious spa, and top-of-the-line resort amenities. Van Wormer Resorts have become a destination for travelers worldwide. But for us, Palmas de Cortez and Playa del Sol are just a short 2-hour flight away. No other tropical fishing destination offers the experience and value that you'll find at Palmas de Cortez and Playa del Sol. Now you can plan your Baja fishing vacation quick and easy by visiting VanWormerResorts.com. And when you're ready to book, it's quick and easy. Or simply call 877-777-TUNA for more information. Van Wormer Resorts, the East Cape's finest.
All right, welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup. We're already getting the fishing stories, Rick. Yeah, it's a good time having these guys in there.
No doubt. The boys from Dana Landing, Nick and Johnny. Morning, boys. Thanks for coming in this morning.
Morning.
Surprised we were able to peel you guys away. It's been a very busy time at Dana Landing. I was just there last week, and I think things were hopping. And we had this little. There's always ebbs and flows to the season, but you always get concerned when there's when there's an ebb towards the end, and everybody was worried, and the swordfish that we always hoped was a thing kind of hadn't happened yet, and it seemed like it was off to a slow start, and then all of a sudden the tuna fishing got a little slow, and the yellowfin hadn't happened, and everybody started going into the woes, and man, you just turn around, and here comes the yellowfin, and here comes the swordfish, and here comes the craziness back right to Dana Landing, and I can't imagine how it's been, but we're sure stoked that you guys were able to sneak away for a couple hours and hang with us. Good morning.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. So tell us, what's things been like? How's the shop? How's the fishing? Give us the little rundown of what's been going on at one of my absolute favorite places, Dana Landing.
I mean, it's steady as she goes. Of course, this swordfish hit got everyone all fired up and working the scales pretty hard. And I think, looking back right now, it seemed to have gone from nothing, like absolutely nothing. And we had a couple customers that were regulars that were going out at least 2 or 3 days a week and trying for nothing. And then all of a sudden the Sunday before the full moon, 2 guys went out to the 9 and they both got fish. And then that was just the start of it. And then everyone just, since then it's backed off a little bit in the last few days, but they're still hooking fish and still getting fish.
And some jumbos too, right? I mean,
unbelievable.
Yeah.
More than the opposite, right?
And it's something that we've really only been on for 6 years or whatever. And
right.
like what truly is the cycle? What is the,
we're still learning.
Right.
Yeah,
and I mean, because you don't see them on the surface really, right? Do they? I mean,
no,
not this year anyway.
No. Right. But they're getting them.
Yeah. It's really cool. And again, that's something that's a specialty that you guys do, whether it comes to the, providing the baits or the full rigging, or, a guy can come in who's very savvy at it and get the little bits and pieces that he needs, or having never done it before, and you guys could set somebody up completely.
Yeah, that's I take pride in doing that. That's pretty much my specialty. Is I've had guys come in on a Wednesday night and they want to fish on Thursday morning, and it's tough to do, but we can get it done, and I enjoy putting my skills to the test. Rigging people up and seeing the enjoyment of people catching fish off the stuff that we do.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
for the, I know there's a ton of things you do, and there's a ton of fishing that's going on right now, but just since we are talking about swordfish, Johnny, or Nick, how like advanced does a guy need to be to go catch? I've caught plenty of tuna and I've been trolling it around and I caught my bluefins, but I've never even tried it before. I mean, you don't know anything until you do it, but can you guys set a guy up at least and get him pointed in the right direction where he got a fair shot at going and catching one of these things?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. I think more people this year are catching them that are inexperienced than guys that are experienced. You definitely have a good shot. That's this last moon phase. I want to say the October 13th through the 16th or 17th was absolutely Richter. Guys that never dropped a bait before are coming in with fish, and
so cool.
They're not small fish. These are 225 to 450 pound fish for the most part.
Insane.
It's so real. It's so cool. And the thing that I love about Dana Landing is you guys can take care of every little part of it, like including, if you're not a guy that's savvy on, rigging and sewing baits together, you sell baits that are already done. I mean, you can walk in, have Nick, have Johnny, have any of the boys set you up completely and just drive out, clip everything together, put it down, and
plug and play. Plug and
That's
play.
so rad.
What is the number one baits that they're using?
It's still squid.
Squid.
Yeah.
Is like the number one.
Yeah. We're selling a couple eels, rigged eels also, but I think for the most part, most guys are just going with squid.
Interesting.
Really
and
cool.
It's producing, so why change it?
That's the thing. That's the other thing that's so cool about Dana is, everybody that hangs a big one upside down that's coming after Mission Bay. I mean, you guys, you're on the forefront of it, not both on the fishing yourselves, but everybody that comes through hangs a big one on the scales that are right there on the fuel dock at Dana Landing. And I mean, the info gets no fresher than your crew. You get to hear and see every single success story that comes back to Mission Bay.
Yeah, that Sunday when it started, the first fish that came in, the guy had his bait down for 15 minutes.
Oh my god!
And got bit. Like it was like 11:30 in the morning, and I'm like, this guy, I can see the bill sticking out of the side of the boat. I'm like, he's gonna weigh a swordfish right now.
How cool is that?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. But then you get some other people who will spend some time out there and not land on them. So
that's the other thing too. Like the one thing, sword fishing is also reminiscent of like the big giant bluefin fishing. Like it's easy to convince yourself that everybody's got one because you hear about every single one that gets caught. It's all over social media and it's the buzz and everybody talks about it. And like you sometimes get the false sense. And no, don't get me wrong, it's really good and it is for sure. But sometimes a guy can get frustrated. You make a trip or two without catching one. Like it's weird. It's just a weird fishery that you hear about every single one that gets caught.
Yeah. Well, the social media thing, you got to kind of take that with a grain of salt because a lot of people, they just keep recycling their pictures, and people come in and they go, dude, so-and-so he's already got like 7.
Yeah.
He's already got 7 this year. I'm like,
that's the same fish.
No, they haven't. But
same boat with another buddy holding it this time.
It's good. I mean, it's good. You got a good shot, but or it's like sea bass fishing, like you spend your time in the zones where the fish swim through. And eventually you're going to get your shot.
That's cool. Yeah. And with as crazy as that is, there's all kinds of other things that are going on right now. We've seen this, this yellowfin come back, and now we're starting to see some local yellowfin. And I know that bay bass fishing you guys stay on is a year-round fishery. What are the other things keeping you guys busy at the market right now?
Surf fishing,
Yeah.
lot of surf
Really?
fishing,
Okay.
bay fishing, we do a lot with first timers.
Okay.
Like rent a rod and reel. Like we're gonna go out in the bay and see what we can catch.
Yeah.
We have all the boat rentals, so there's a multitude of things that we're working with.
We always say Dana Landing is the true one-stop shop, and it is. There isn't anything that's more complete, and it's not only perfect tackle like Nick's talking about, but you said it, Johnny. The boat rentals, fuel. You're having a boat issue that morning. You guys have got all the essentials there, the killer deli, all the tackle. I mean, it truly is one-stop shop.
Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely is.
And a whole lot of MC swim baits.
Right? That too, yeah.
Yeah, Cory
Exactly.
keeping us styled out and lead heads and swim baits and I mean, and plus being in San Diego, I'm sure Ricky knows down at Fisherman's is you're like a stopping off point for all points south. So as it gets more towards winter, people are going down to Bahia de Los Angeles and going down to Cabo and going down. So you're rigging people up. You have to kind of know what's going on, like what lures are biting in LA Bay and getting people rigged for marlin fishing or wahoo fishing or you name it. You gotta be able to take care of everyone.
Speaking of Bisbees, what a wild finish that was last night.
What happened?
So I haven't been around it forever, but certainly one of the best biting years of fish around. I think there was over 100 blue marlin caught and released, for the tournament fleet. But what has been missing the last few years was big fish. It takes a 300-pound fish to make qualifying weight. And last year they got them, but in a few years previous, there was real struggle to have a single qualifier. And I mean, I think this year, in the 3 days of fishing, there was 2, 3, 4, 5 every single day. But yesterday being the finale was so exciting in that, it's lines out is at 5 o'clock. That's when you have to stop fishing. However, if you have hooked a fish previous to 5 o'clock, you can continue fighting up until 9 o'clock. You've got to be by the scales by 9. That's the cutoff. And one of the who have become just synonymous with doing super successful is that Stella June, Evan Salve. They have had an unbelievable run and had the big fish of the day. And they're in across the board, all the dailies, lots of money. I think the fish was, at the time they weighed it, that fish was worth a couple $1 million. But there was 2 other boats that were pulling on fish
at the same time.
But who knows the scenario? Who knows if they're big? Who knows if it's tail wrapped? Who knows if they'll get in? Both of them were racing to get back to the scales on time. One of them, Jake, a local, very local Point Loma, Dana Landing guy, and they made it to the scale with, I think, 30 minutes to spare and had a fish that eclipsed the size and became the new leader. And it was this huge thing. And everything had just about been over because it's 8:30 at night. And basically the tournament kind of wraps up at 5.
And so is Evan still?
So Evan's still going to get a ton of money because they were in across the board. And this fish that beat them was a little bit, was a heavier fish, but they weren't in every single jackpot. Right. And then there's a center console that is now flying back to the boat, trying to make it with a really big fish. They make it with like 10 minutes to spare, and 33-foot center console with a local captain and a local owner to San Diego here. And they had a 600-pounder that they pulled on for 11 hours in a center console and then eclipsed that fish again. So like all of this, like down to the wire buzzer beater fish, one coming in after the other, total dark weighing them up. It was a really exciting thing. Like I was in my house hoping the Dodgers were going to lose with one eye, and then the other eye on my phone watching, Facebook Live of these big fish coming in. Yeah, it was really, really fun, man. It was really exciting, and lots of big ones, lots of money spread around. There was, I think, close to a $7 million total purse for the tournament, which is just insanity. Insane. But when you look at like the payout distribution, there was a ton of people won a ton of money, which is like the most ideal thing. There wasn't one person that swept every daily of everything every time. Like
which happens not often, but
does,
quite a bit of the time.
Yeah, it just shakes out how it shakes out. And this was really cool. Lots of people won a ton of money. It was really, really exciting to see.
Was that the thing I didn't catch last night was that big one? Were they across the board?
They weren't. No,
they weren't.
Just like Jake and the guy, like and I believe they were even a slightly lesser. So Jake won some good money. Evan Salve won some great money. Yeah. These guys on Crudo won great money. It was really cool to see. Like it really was spread out. Yeah, it was awesome. You saw big hitters catch fish. You saw local guys catch them. It was really exciting to watch.
Just the way you want it to be.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's it, man. And,
except the Dodgers lost.
Yeah. They won.
They won.
They won in a big way. There's no doubt about
Son
that.
of a gun.
It was exciting baseball to watch for sure. But man, a lot of fun. And
I had to throw it in there.
Yeah, it needed to be done. Well, as you can hear, we got a great show going on today. So much to cover. Again, it's so easy to talk about the big things, these big tuna that are getting caught and these big swordfish. But man, let's not stray from the other things. Like you talked about it, Johnny. The surf fishing's been so good. Bay bassing, you guys do year round, and such a rad fishery in Mission Bay. Like this is going to be a great one.
Mission Bay is probably the best spotted bay bass fishing in Southern California. It's not could be. It is. It's truly. Yeah. There's so much eelgrass and shallow water. It's one of the funnest fisheries, and see those blue skiffs out on the bay. It's one of my cool things I get to see, man.
And you catch them year round. I mean, there's not a month of the year where there's not good fishing to be had.
It's a captive audience.
It's a little tough right now because the water's gin clear. You can be in 14 feet of water and you can see lobsters down there crawling around in the eelgrass.
Wow.
So I did have a pretty good Corvina bite on Monday.
Short fin Corvina.
Yeah, short fin. Yeah, on Monday night, back on Sail Bay. That was pretty good. That was a little bit of a surprise because the bass weren't biting. So that was a good surprise.
Sail Bay? I'm taking notes.
Yeah. You said Monday night. Is that only a nighttime thing, or do they just bite better in the dark? Or?
Well, usually I'm on the boat offshore fishing, but I was on land and just the tide was perfect. It was a bottom of the low tide. And so some of those spots back there, you kind of need a real low tide in order to access some of the drop-offs. And it was low enough that I could wade out to about my knees and then fish the jerk bait, and they were smoking it pretty good.
How cool is that?
You're hardcore, man. That's rad.
Dude, from the bay, shortfin Corvina to the swordfish, we got it all in studio today, and we're going to give away a $100 gift card to one lucky texter or caller, right? Cool. I mean, a $100 gift card to Dana Landing. I know.
That'll actually be good at all the stores.
Oh, it is. Okay. Awesome. So Lemon Grove Bait and Tackle and East County Bait and Tackle or Dana. There you go. How about that?
Very, very generous. And like I say, obviously, we've barely scratched the surface of the knowledge that these two guys have in here today. And today's going to be a great one.
It really is, Rick. And we haven't even got into the fact that just 2.5 weeks ago, Johnny got a nice yellowfin, too. I can't wait to hear about that. So if you want to give us a call, 213-432-1090 is a telephone number. And to text the show is same as always. It's only done one way. It's done through the app. It's a super easy, free download. And right there it says text the show. You can send us a message. Rick's already going through them.
Yeah, exactly.
Make sure that you do leave your name and telephone number because it's the only way. It's a one-way messaging system. And you want to make sure that when Nick flips the coin at the end of the show, where's that coin, Nick? We'll find it. But you're going to be the one that gets to flip the coin at the end of the show. And we need to know who it is. So name and telephone number. Again, give us a call, 213-432-1090, or text us via the app. We're going to be right back with Johnny and Nick from Dana Landing, Mission Bay when we return on the Let's Talk Hookup app and a Sports Grid radio network.
Anyone that's been to the East Cape knows Smokey's Curing Company Cantina, the best food and drink in Los Barillas, and a fun place to hang out and watch your favorite sporting event. If you're lucky, you probably had Smokey's process your fish to take home. Their quality and service is top-notch. You'll see me at Smokey's Cantina hanging out with the owner, Chris, and my buddies when fishing in the East Cape. And we always send our fish to be processed at Smokey's, too. Now Chris has added one of the finest boats in the East Cape available for you to charter for a day or more floor of fishing. Vaquera. It's an immaculate 35 Cabo with a Seakeeper and Captain Diego Romero, one of Baja's best. If you're looking for a great charter boat when fishing at Palmas, Playa, or other resorts, Vaquera, booked at BajaSmokies.com, should be your choice. So when you're headed to the East Cape, be sure to stop by Smokey's Curing Company Cantina. Send your fish to be processed there and fish aboard the 35 Cabo Vaquera. Check BajaSmokies.com for more details.
Here's the hot tip on the best fishing LA has to offer. 22nd Street Landing Sport Fishing in San Pedro. They are home to LA's finest open party fleet, including overnight on the Freedom, Catalina Freelance on the Pursuit, half-day trips on the Monte Carlo, and three-quarter-day trips on the Sea Angler. For your own private charter, we have the Outrider and Trueline available. There's always plenty of free parking and a fully stocked tackle store. 22nd Street Landing Sport Fishing in San Pedro. Call 310-832-8304 or on the web at 22ndstreet.com.
For your next fishing adventure, check Point Loma Sport Fishing. They offer half-day and full-day trips daily, perfect for families and the novice or seasoned fishermen. Point Loma Sport Fishing also offers overnight to multi-day trips, targeting the best of seasonal catches. Visit PointLomaSportFishing.com, where you can purchase tickets online and get more information on the trips available, or call 619-223-1627. Want to go fishing? Point Loma Sport Fishing has you covered.
All right, welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup. Man, having so much fun in studio with Johnny and with Nick and from Dana Landing. And you want to join us, 213-432-1090. We've got a couple open lines right now. Again, 213-432-1090. Or you can send us a text via the app. And we're giving away a $100 gift card to one of the three shops, Lemon Grove Bait and Tackle, East County Bait and Tackle, or Dana Landing right there on Mission Bay.
I got to speak for East County Bait and Tackle because it's certainly in my hood and right around the corner. And not only, I mean, it is by far and away the most complete and dialed in and killer freshwater tackle store in East County. But the other thing there, if you don't feel like driving all the way down to Dana Landing, you don't feel like driving all the way to the coast, there's great saltwater selection in there too.
Yeah.
Like ECBT is so well stocked up. Clearly the shining star is the amazing amount of freshwater inventory that's so new and killer. But I mean, I love that. That's my neighborhood tackle store.
Their jig wall looks a little different though.
Yeah, that is true. but they have the best selection of jigs. They just all have lead heads and vinyl skirts on them.
Yeah,
like I said, I love it. And I mean, from a guy that owns a tackle store, I go in there all the time because, like, man, it's a whole lot easier to pop over to EBCBT than to run all the way down to Dana. You know, I love it. The guys do such a killer job. And if I won that $100, it'd be hard to decide whether I'm spending that at the on the coast or out in Lakeside.
Would it be good in the deli?
Oh, good for everything.
There it is.
Well, there you go. That's another story.
Every time I'm in there, that darn deli, man, it just ruins me. It wrecks me. That just the bacon cooking and the toasting, and man, it's just.
We obviously we keep our boat at Dana Landing. I talk about it all the time. Like, you guys have made me the most unprepared fisherman because I know that we can rely on it. We know exactly where we need to call to put in the breakfast sandwich order and the lunch sandwich order. So you pick both of those up on the way. Grab some ice, grab some bait, throw a little fuel on, away you go.
It is.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, the phone lines are getting packed up. Again, if you want to get your chance to get through, give us a call this morning at 213-432-1090. Or like Cory said, send us a text. Text only available through the Let's Talk Hookup app. It's a free download. And lots of great text already coming through. Just like this one we're going to start off with. It says, good morning, guys. What a great show. Nick has always been super helpful when I go down there to gear up for a trip. I grew up in PB, so Dana Landing naturally became my most frequented tackle shop. He never tries to always sell and always seems to be in the loop. My question for Nick, if you guys were putting together a budget swordfish outfit, how would you do it and what would it consist of? That's from Rory in Lakeside.
So the Tuna Twins 2 weeks ago did catch a 492-pound swordfish on a Tanacom 1200. That's with these big fish, you have to realize this is the gladiator of the sea. So you can't really take too many shortcuts when it comes to outfitting yourself. You definitely want to reel with a brushless motor. I don't believe the Tanacom is brushless. So most guys are going to the Seaborg. The Seaborg for, I believe, $1,600 or $1,700 is probably your best budget, if that's the word you can use, at $1,700 reel to go with. Rod wise, I've seen pretty much any bent butt rod that's rated 60 to 130, 80 to 130 will get the job done. I've seen high end rods. Seeker makes a great bent butt rod that's specific for tuna or for swordfish. So yes, I would say Seaborg. The Seaborg 1200 is for the reel, and then rod wise, you can do anything that you would really.
Nick, do you have to go electric? I mean,
no, yeah, you don't have to go electric. That's a good question. That's very good question, Rick. You can definitely go hand crank. There are guys that hand crank. There's nothing wrong with hand cranking. The biggest issue I see with
there is kind of a problem with it, though.
Well,
how long does it take you to reel up 10 pounds of weight?
20 minutes.
So for us, when we're in transition, going from we've been on a drift for an hour, 2 hours. I want to get those big, and we're fishing 2 baits. We're fishing a tip rod and a buoy rod. I want both of those in within 12 to 14 minutes.
Yeah, because if you get bit on one,
right,
you've got to get the other one in ASAP,
right.
Which is like Johnny's saying.
Right. So yeah, you could do it, like Rick said, you could do an international 50. Most guys are putting 80-pound braid. You could go 100, but 80-pound definitely cuts through the water quite a bit better. Yeah.
But whatever the investment is, you get a 180 to 250 pounder or whatever the average might be.
Right.
I think what I was getting at with Rory wanting to dab his toe into it and being on a budget,
right.
I would venture to guess that a lot of people have a bluefin kite outfit that with Nick and with Johnny's redoing the line, basically.
Yes.
The line setup that you have for your big bluefin on the kite is probably not ideal.
Right.
We do it all the time at the shop. We do the same thing. We'll take your kite outfit, strip all the line off of it, put it onto a spool, put a piece of tape around it, right? Bluefin kite outfit that goes on the shelf in the garage. Then refill the reel the way that Nick has it set up, all specific with all the ways, and that can become your swordfish outfit. No doubt. You're going to go and you're going to catch your 400 pounder. And then next season, you're going to invest exactly in the gear that Nick's talking about. Cause it does. Having the electric makes it so much easier, but you don't have to have it. If you've done the bluefin kite thing, you likely have gear in your garage right now that will do you just fine.
It is incredible. That fish. Once even if it's a small fish, 150 pounds.
Yeah.
And you get your lip smacking meal with that thing.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
There is, in my opinion, nothing better. Bluefin, yellowfin, we love it all, right? But once you get that fresh swordfish, it is. I've never had anything close to it. Maybe a fatty salmon or something, but man, it is.
Swordfish is good. We've had plenty of it in the last few weeks.
I'll bet so. Well, thanks a lot for the text, Roy. Cory, why don't we jump into the phones?
Let's do it. How about John? John calling from Dallas, Texas. Good morning, John.
Guys, I'm going to go to the sale next week. I'm going to buy a Calica 16A. I was going to ask Rick, I'm going to match it with the CalStar 775XH. Is that good enough, Rick?
I think a 775 extra heavy might be a little bit on the heavy side for a Talica 16. Talica 16 being most commonly used for like a 50 to 60 pound outfit, maybe 80. Nick, do you have a favorite model of rod if a guy was gonna be fishing that 60 to kind of
I would just fish I would just fish the H. I don't think you need the XH. The H is fine. The 775 H.
Yeah. I would I'm in there with that, and maybe even look if you like a CalStar and you like a 7.5 foot rod, maybe think about that 875 series. It's also 7.5 feet long, and that 875 extra heavy. Also 7.5 feet, but not built in the same railrod way. I think that 775 XH is a fantastic big fish rod, but probably a little bit on the extra heavy side for a TAC 16.
More for like a Talica 20 or Talica 25 on that rod.
Yeah, I agree. But whatever it is, we'll look forward to seeing you come down, John, and hopefully score a great one. Appreciate the phone call very much. Had another great text come through. Says, good morning, guys, from Dana. Also, Rick and Cory. Before Before I went to Cedros, I loaded up on MC swim baits at Dana Landing. My question is, what's the best way to store my MC swim baits for my next trip? Do you guys like plastic bags? Do you like keeping them in the tackle box? Do you like them in a Plano? Always looking for the hot tip. That's John in Huntington Beach.
Well, I mean, if you have an opinion, but I definitely do. They don't bleed. I've come across baits from 20 years ago in a bag, and they still look brand new. And I use a super high quality plastic material so that it does that. You know,
is that why they don't bleed?
That none of it bleeds, none of it shrinks, none of it, like, there's a lot of companies, whether it's coming from overseas or wherever it might be coming from, they put fillers, they put the famous Senko is filled with salt as a filler, and some guys add other things, and it extrudes, and you can hear this one and maybe realize, but some of them extrude in oil.
Oh, dude.
Like if you try to hold on to them for a year, they evaporate into like a goo of oil
that leaks underneath every little divider in your Plano box.
I try to be polite about it.
Yeah. Well, I'm not. I mean, I don't say it to blow smoke, and I don't say it because you're a great buddy. Like, an MC swim bait is exactly the same that you lost and found 4 years later.
Oh, absolutely.
And I don't know that there's any others that are like that. I mean, it just isn't.
Yeah, I would keep them in a Ziploc just because I know the MCs are going to hold up, but if you have any other brands, say in a Plano box or something, there could be.
You don't want to mix them.
Yeah, you don't want to mix them up. So I like to keep most of that stuff in Ziplocs and then put it into the Plano as you're going fishing. Few at a time, handful at a time.
As much pride as you two take in your shop, and Rick, you take in your shop, I take in the quality of what I put out. It's all in house, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There is no comparison.
Yeah. Well,
and I wouldn't.
That's the same for.
I would say the same if you weren't sitting here. I mean, there's no comparison at all.
And at the end of the conversation, they're not overpriced. They're comparably priced to everybody else.
That's what.
Right.
That's what blows me away. Yeah. How about jumping on John's question? Say he stored them in a not ideal scenario. They got in a Plano box, and the Plano box got tilted up, and some of the baits got set. Like, what's the best way to?
Worst case scenario.
You got a kink in it. You know what I'm saying? Like, how does one deal with that? Do you not? Do you just save it for Cedros where you're going to get your bite on it anyways? Like, what's the move?
What would you do, Johnny? I mean,
put a heavier lead head on.
There you go.
Use the bent ones with the heavier lead head, because it's not as. The tail action isn't as critical, like the bait's not going to want to roll on its side for you if you're using like an 1.5 ounce lead head with a 5-inch bait, as opposed to like if you're trying to fish a 5-inch on like a 1/2 ounce lead head or something, like more of a finesse presentation.
It wouldn't work as well.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
So this sounds like the move is don't do that in the first place.
Yeah, right.
Keep them straight, keep them right.
Exactly.
Treat it like anything else. You wouldn't treat a live bait that way.
No.
And you're wanting the same result out of it.
Just stack them like cordwood in the Ziploc. And so when Johnny has their spring sale and they're priced right, when you have your sale next week and they're priced right,
load up.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah. Totally. No doubt about it. Well, hey, great text, and appreciate it very much, John. Let's jump back into him, Cory.
How about Mike? Mike calling from Rosemead. Good morning. Welcome. Let's talk hookup.
What's up, Mike?
Hey, good morning. Thanks for picking up my line. I think it was late last year, I was fortunate and lucky enough to win a combination gift card that you mentioned earlier of the 3 tackle stores. So me and my wife, we had to go down to San Diego and figure out to stop by and check out the Dana Landing there. And I was in dire need of some deck boots. And so initially, as we drove up there, I've never been there before. So I see this small building. It wasn't a very big building, but moderate size. Is this the place? And so we drove up, and I was fortunate enough to have an open driving spot right there at the front door. So I had the first spot there, and I walk in, and it automatically transformed into this huge building on the inside. I couldn't believe it. If you told me what color the paint was on the inside walls, I couldn't tell you because there was so much stuff in there. and the hustle and bustle in there with the dahlias going on and everything. geez, I was just amazed of how organized the place was. And that's all I wanted to say. It was just, if I lived down there, I'd be hanging out there every day. But unfortunately, I live up here in the LA area.
That was
to the Dodgers, but
it was funny when Mike was.
That's all I wanted to. I just wanted to contribute that.
Oh, good, buddy. We appreciate the phone call. It was funny when Mike started. I'm like, man, I don't know what he's talking about. It's freaking huge in there. And that's that's one of the advantages that you guys have is there's so much square footage that you get to be very deep on all of the things that you guys like. It's not like if a guy wanted in and to go catch some calico bass or bay bass, and you don't. You have the ability to have a lot of depth in all of the things that you service. You don't have just this one thing here, and Nick likes to catch.
I wish we did. But.
Yeah. I'll bet it's a lot to keep up with. And you guys do such a good job. Like you'd mentioned at the beginning of the show of like really covering all of the fisheries that exist in saltwater in Southern California and beyond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys have a lot of travel guys and a lot of big marlin and people that go to other countries and cool poppers and, one of the things I love so much about East County Bait and Tackle is all of the trick custom baits and things that they have. And I always love going through Dana because you guys do a lot of that on the saltwater side too, whether it be special marlin lures or special stick baits. I mean,
I try to keep a little bit of that stuff, rolling through a little specialty stuff. Yeah.
Got to keep people on their toes.
Yeah.
I like it. Well, hey, we appreciate the phone call very much. It's been a very busy morning so far. Again, if you want to get through, give us a call 213-432-1090. Let's jump back into them with a text. Says, guys, what a great show this is. My question is all about tides. What tide do you think is best for spotty fishing in Mission Bay and beyond? Also, does the moon have a big effect on catching the grumpy size spotties? That's from Todd in San Diego.
Well, tide is everything in the bay. Without the water movement, it's the bites are going to be difficult to get. If you had to choose, I would choose an incoming tide.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I like an incoming tide with a little bit lower light, even better. So like evening. I'll kind of keep an eye on the calendar and like look for evenings where the incoming tide comes, coincides with sunset. And that's my go-to for bay fishing. But
say that one more time. Like if you could pick the ideal day, incoming tide in the afternoon.
Yeah, through the sunset.
Okay.
Like so you're fishing into dusk.
Right.
I'm not really a night fisherman. Like I know a lot of guys now fish spotties and stuff at night, but I like that incoming tide in the evening. But that being said, it doesn't matter as long as there's movement. If outgoing tide is fine. As far as the moon cycle, like you always get the biggest tides are on the full moon and the new moon. So, I think for bigger bass, it's more of spot targeting.
Okay.
I think you're going to find the bigger spotties on like on a hard structure, not just over the weed beds. Around docks or pilings or stuff like that. And then it's the condition still has to be there.
Like a big fish owns this piece of territory.
Yeah.
They're not cruising around waiting for an opportunity. Like he owns the spot.
Like when I used to fish quite a bit and when I would come back in to the cove where the marina, into the marina cove on the way in, there was a few spots where there was old dock floats sitting on the bottom.
Yeah.
And it would get little there's like a
weed. Johnny's giving all up.
There's like a weed that grows in the bay that's not kelp.
It's brown.
It's brown and it looks kind of like mini kelp.
Yeah.
And there you could tell where those boxes were because there'd be little stalks of that stuff coming up and like coming back in, like not every time, but you'd stick a big one.
That's
stick
cool.
Stick one over 2 pounds on one of those.
That's good times.
Whereas when you're fishing out, drifting big areas of flat, like you don't necessarily get, you get more numbers, but not necessarily the big ones. Although you never know. Sometimes there's like a
2 to 3 pounder.
Or like a clam bed where like every fish is like, 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds or something. So
Mission Bay is such a cool spot. It really is. And the fact you have the blue skiffs for rent. I mean, if somebody's listening and like wants to take their grandchild or just take him and his buddy or her and her buddy or whatever it might be, it is so friendly and it just so Like, how much are the skiff rentals?
$60 for 4 hours or $90 for the day.
Are you kidding
That's
me?
crazy,
right?
The stuff that you get.
Which
you can't pay to park in downtown for a baseball game for that. You can't pay to
Thank
park your
you.
car and you can go fishing
Thank
for the
you.
day. It's so rad. And this radio show is not like a fluffed version of it. Like, this is who these guys
It's
are
legit.
every single day.
Yeah.
And you can walk in and see Nick, and you can walk in and see Johnny, and hey man, I really want to go do this. And they'll walk you through the shop, and they'll help you pick baits, and they'll help you pick gear and where to go and what to do. Like, I've seen it 100 times. I ask myself, like, they're so dialed in there. It's awesome.
And if you're in anywhere in the Southern California basin and you can drive 2 hours and just hop in a skiff for $60 or $90 all day.
Yeah.
Ridiculous for one of the coolest fisheries.
The one thing with the skiffs is it's
They sell out.
The word's out, and they do sell out. And so now we have like an online reservation system where you can go and prepay for them online. The only caveat is if you're going to reserve it, you have to take the full day.
Okay.
So if you're like Friday through Sunday,
Plan on getting a reservation.
Plan on getting a reservation if you.
But if you and I were going to rent a skiff and $45 a piece,
that's what I'm saying.
Like, are you kidding me?
Yep.
Like, that's.
And they have bait tanks, so you can go over and get live bait. So I mean, if you want to fish, bass and halibut and corvina, I mean,
and one of the quiet things that happens not so quiet, but in Mission Bay is that late winter, springtime, and early summer halibut fishery.
Dude.
Yep.
No.
You can always tell when the word is out and those things are biting. Because again, we keep our boat there. So when we come in from fishing, like, you'll see 4 skiffs all anchored up, around the different bridge ponds, probably because, Nick drew them the map of this is where to go. And like, you'll see those guys crush them. It's wild.
It's not just 20,
cool.
22, 24
Dude,
inches.
No way.
20 to 30 pounds sometimes.
We've seen a couple this year.
Yeah.
Pushing
That's cool.
probably 25. Yeah.
What a rad thing.
Getting all fired up.
I think it's awesome. That's cool.
All right.
Get the slugs out.
I know. Hey, don't give that one up. Come on now. Hey, we're going to be right back and Let's Talk Hookup more from Johnny and Nick, and we're having a great time. We're going to be right back on Let's Talk Hookup app and the Sports Grid Radio Network.
A 40-pound white sea bass off an inflatable Hobie kayak? Tell me about that.
I'm Logan from Fastlane Kayaks on Mission Bay, and the whole story began when Ron Lane lent my parents some Hobie Mirage iTrex to put on their boat and take out to Catalina Island. That's when I borrowed the iTrek 11, threw it in my car, and drove down to Baja for a fishing and camping trip. Ended up landing a bucket list 40-pound white sea bass on the inflatable.
Dang, that sounds even better than our Mammoth trip. When we packed up the kayaks in the car, snowboarded all morning, then drove down to the lakes, launched the iTrex, and fished for trout all afternoon.
Honestly, the iTrek inflatables are the ultimate fishing platform. From trout in the Sierras, calicos at Catalina, and white sea bass in the Sea of Cortez, they can do it all.
And we've documented all these trips, so check out Fastlane Kayaks on Instagram to see more. And if you think you want a kayak, but you're on the fence, come down to our shop. We're right on Mission Bay, and we would be happy to throw one in the water and let you give it a try. So call Fastlane Kayaks to schedule a demo today.
Summit Gasoline at the San Diego Sports Arena is the place to fill up your car, truck, and boat with the lowest gas and diesel prices. Did you know Summit is also the place to get the lowest prices on gourmet ice and snacks for your trip? $3.99 for 25 pounds of ice, as many as you want. That's half the price of others. Plus, you get 100 pounds of ice free with a 30-gallon fill. Kirkland products at lower prices than the store that makes them, plus dozens of great snacks for just 89 cents. They can now accommodate 24 cars and trucks to fuel at the same time, plus 12 diesel pumps, easy in and outs too. Step into the Summit Bistro and enjoy what Martha and her crew have for you. Fresh made burritos, sandwiches, salad, along with beer, beverages, and of course, always free ice. Summit Gasoline low prices, friendly staff, free ice, and easy in and out with your boat and trailer at the San Diego Sports Arena.
All of us at the American Angler family want to express appreciation to our regular passengers that fish with us year after year, and to the new anglers that came out this last season. We realize how precious your vacation time is, and we are truly grateful that you have chosen to spend this time with us. It's important that your experience is memorable, from the moment you call the office to the time you step off the boat. Hi, I'm Lori. Call me at the office, 619-223-5414, or check us out at AmericanAnglerSportFishing.com. Come fishing with the American Angler family and make a memory.
Whether you're boating, floating, paddling, fishing, or just chilling, remember a good day on the water always starts with everyone wearing life jackets. Save the ones you love. Life jackets save lives. A message from California State Parks Division of Boating and Waterways.
Get ready for the largest event in our history. Saturday, November 2nd, it's Tackle Day at Fisherman's Landing in San Diego. We'll have great savings from Daiwa on Saltus, Saltiga, and the entire electric reel lineup. A fantastic offer on the Proteus rod and SK jigs too. Over 20 manufacturers reps, including Daiwa. Plenty of seminars, saltwater experts, huge raffle, and most of all, incredible deals on tackle. Up to 60% off. Tackle Day at Fisherman's Landing, Saturday, November 2nd.
All right, welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup, and having so much fun in studio today with,
No doubt, man.
with Johnny and Nick. And you want to join us? A couple ways to do it. 213-432-1090, or you can text us via the app. And we're giving away a $100 gift card to one of the three shops, which not only Johnny and Nick down at Dana Landing on Mission Bay, but there's East County Bait and Tackle and Lemon Grove Bait and Tackle, and couple cool shops.
No doubt about it.
Several cool shops.
I want to revisit the Bay Bass Blue
Yeah.
Skiff fishing.
Yeah.
Obviously got the rundown on boats and time and how. What about gear wise for both of you guys? What's the ideal outfit? What's the ideal outfit for a numbers day on the bay? I'm taking my boys fishing, and I just want to go get bites. I'm not worried about catching a 3-pounder. But I just want to go get bites on spotties. What's the ideal outfit that's in your hand, and maybe what's tied onto it?
I have really gone back to the spinning reel. So a 2,500 or 3,000 size spinning reel, and then any rod rated 8 to 17 pretty much. Right now, I kind of really enjoy something that gives some lure that gives me feedback. So I'm fishing like an 8 to 10 foot diving crankbait. That, for me, there's been days I've been doing really well on that. Jig para tailspin, 18-gram jig para tailspin, is another one that I find I can cover a lot of water. I can cast it really far. I can burn it up on top. I can slow roll it and tickle the grass on the bottom.
And a tailspin's kind of
like an inline spinner.
It's got a blade on it.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like a little hard, almost like a vibration bait, and then it has a blade on the back of it. Yeah,
sounds like good times. A little flash and vibration.
Ned rig is another great one. You can, a lot of times in the skiff, I'll fish 2 rods, and I'll have one with say like a Berkeley, gulp fluke of some sort, like 5 or 6 inch fluke, and I'll just feed line out 50 feet and let that just kind of bang off the bottom. And I'll get bit just letting that thing just kind of do its own thing in the current while I'm fishing a tailspin. Or
and
fishing
no weight on that.
Not
Really?
usually. Sometimes I'll fish a sled head, maybe a Texas rig with like an 1/8 of an ounce, maybe a 1/4 of an ounce, no more than a 1/4 of an ounce. But yeah,
it's all fishy stuff.
Yeah.
Man.
What about you, Johnny?
It depends on the condition. The clear water, you got to go. I like to go with something that's not really vibrating. So clear water, I like the flukes. I fished like the small slugs that Cory has, sometimes like an 1/8 ounce lead head. I'll fish little tube baits. If it's getting low light, I like a rig.
Okay.
A rig with some blades on it, and 3 or 4
almost too
swim
good.
baits on it. Yeah.
Right.
And you
gets bit.
can cover ground. It gets bit. It's pretty easy.
Yeah.
And Mission Bay is a pretty safe place to fish something like that, because you got a nice A rig that's loaded up with baits and lead heads and everything else. Like you're throwing something that's got some bucks attached.
Yeah, it's
to it.
$35. Yeah,
it's
a $35.
Where you get it for $35, man?
Yeah.
Dana Landing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's on the low end.
Yeah,
really.
No doubt. Yeah, you talk about the A rig itself, and then putting 5 lead heads and 5 swim baits. I mean, you got some bucks invested. But what I'm getting at is Mission Bay has a lot of area where it's safe to fish that. Yeah. You're fishing a lot of eelgrass and a lot of mud, and not a lot of places that's going to take that thing from you.
As long as the only A rig I've lost is like I cast it off. I'm just like, and I was just like got this thing. I like cast off. I'm like, oh, and then I was like, oh no.
Exactly. You're not losing one at a time. You're losing 5 at a time.
Like,
But again, you talk about a lure that's great for getting bites. There's no denying it. Like, you get your bites out of that thing.
You look at our harbors up and down the coast, and like Newport, you've got Oceanside, you've got all these lagoons and stuff up and down the coast, and they thrive on looking for a little patch of eelgrass.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like it's like a lot of those harbors, Los Alamitos Harbor and, Huntington Harbor, there's some in there for sure, but not like Mission Bay. Mission Bay
acres and acres and acres.
It is completely. And you look at a spotted bay bass, and those bars on them are the shadowing of the eelgrass. Like they're meant to like hug right up against it, and to fish something weedless, like get it in there, even on light line, like you're talking about, is just so bite friendly. You know?
Talked about Sail Bay and the areas around Fiesta, and there's like huge, and you could literally drift over giant flats, no specific spot, and make a half-hour drift that to somebody from the outside looking in looks like you were just casting into no man's land. Right. But underneath you're just acres of that stuff, and there's so much bait fish in Mission Bay, and it's such the killer ambush spot for a spotty that's in that grass waiting to eat a bait fish up above. It's just you couldn't put pen to paper and draw a more perfect scenario.
And the one thing that is consistent is that it's never consistent. So people always say like, where should I fish? And it's like, well, you just got to go try it out, because the one day you find them one day in one spot, like loaded up, and like, we're going back there, and then they won't be there. So they definitely they move all around. Sometimes you just have to look for signs. Like sometimes you'll be, because you're always bringing grass back to the boat with you, and then you realize like, wait, when I'm catching green grass, I'm getting bit. So they're in the live grass right now, or maybe when I'm catching brown grass, I'm getting bit. So maybe they're in like the more dead spots. You can't like there might be little zones where like it'll bite during a certain moon phase or tide cycle, but for the most part you got to go around. There's in the winter time you look for the cormorants get in the bay, and there'll be like kind of big raft ups of cormorants. Like those things are falling around schools of bait. So it's a pretty good bet to you find those, you fish around them. The bass are they're moving around in that bay all the time. They're not just like hanging out in one spot where you're gonna catch them every time you go. You gotta just I tell people, you're going on the shore or whether you're going in a boat, you just gotta drift in the boat. We do have some customers who anchor and fish a lure, and the way they do it is they anchor and they fish an arc all the way around the boat. They cast 108, maybe they're working one direction in the current, then they just pull up the anchor and let the boat drift 100 feet and then drop the anchor again. And then that way they can fish lighter lures, fish 8 ounce instead of having because if you're drifting and there's a little bit of breeze at all, like a lot of times you need like 3/8 to get down. But if you think like a smaller presentation is going to get a bit better, then you drop the anchor, fan cast,
and you can work it,
pop the anchor, move, fan cast, and then all of a sudden you'll hit a spot where you're anchored up, where you might pull 15 fish.
That's what's so cool about Mission Bay. You will, if you put the time in, you will find those flurries, and those flurries, like you say, it's wide open fishing. It's not uncommon, even a guy that's no expert, to grab a skiff and work around and have a 30, a 40, a 50 fish day. Like it's not uncommon to do that down there.
Yeah. So water clarity is a big component also. Some days they're in that off green colored water, some days they're in brown colored water, like some days they're in the gin clear. So you have to be willing to go to different spots. If you're, if I fish for an hour in gin clear water and I'm not getting bit, I'm going to do the complete opposite, and I'm going to go find the dirtiest, gnarliest water possible and then work, to some kind of medium at some point.
Sometimes it's just drive around till you find that stained water, and the fish maybe the fish might be everywhere, but that's where they're biting.
That's a great point too. It's awesome. Good info. As you can hear, we got a great show. Phones have been very busy this morning. If you want to get your shot, 213-432-1090, your opportunity to talk to Nick and Johnny. We're going to go back to the text with a great one. Says, hey guys, what a great show. My question is, do you guys service big saltwater reels? And how often do you feel that should be done? I typically fish a handful of 3-day trips every year.
We do service all those reels. It depends on, how wet they got when you were fishing, in my opinion, or if you caught big fish, that spun a lot of line off, you're winding a lot of water back into the reel. So, they probably don't have to be done every year, but the more often you get them done, the less you're going to spend on parts. So if you can do it like every year or every other year, they're like, it's a real simple go through. We go through, clean the bearings, oil them. If it's been a few years, or if you're waiting until they're starting to have problems, then it starts bearing replacement and parts and stuff end up adding quite a bit to the repair cost.
We'll see a lot of reels come off of some of our sport boats in here, and like the reel mechanics just plead with those guys, like, man, if you could just have 2 sets of tackle where, like, on a sport boat, obviously they're getting used every day. We're like, at the end of 6 months, you just give everything and then take this other batch. Servicing a reel that is still working is so much different than waiting for, this it's
all locked up,
quote unquote, this froze up, this doesn't work anymore. Like, that reel's, the service bill is 3 times that of, it's service, it's maintenance. You know what I mean? If you were able to maintain it, like you say, you'll be so much farther along. And we're certainly not there yet. But as we're, in the latter part of the season, man, wait until you're, this gentleman, Nick, was talking about his, he goes on a few 3-day trips. When you're done with your last 3-day and that itch, you had to scratch and you jumped on 1 or 2 more late day and a halves and you got in on that big elephant. Then when you're done, take your main reels and just send them in, bring them into Nick and Johnny and get the service done.
The thing I would suggest is just drop a reel off. Don't bring 7 or 12 reels in and be like, oh dude, you're not going to have this done in a week. Like bring one at a time. So that way you're kind of rotating.
That's a great way to go
you're
about
rotating one reel out of your quiver, that way that they all stay fresh.
That's great. Yeah, great info. And the thing is too, with you talk about how often do it, that it's become a tough call. Reels are so good that you can get that long amount of time out of it and not have problems. When everybody was using a Jigmaster and a Newell 332, like the drags burned up every half a dozen trips, so you had to pull the reel apart and things were getting fresh coats of grease, and then you looked at it and realized, that bearing's probably going to start to go. I'm just going to pop a new one in. And when you were forced to service your reels all the time because the drags are always gone, you'd spot problems before they started. Now we have reels. I don't know if I've ever had to replace a drag washer out of a Talica 12. But
crazy.
No, 1,000 trips and caught 1,000 fish. Like that doesn't go bad, but but they're all saltwater parts, and saltwater is going to get its way to everything. So you just don't do the upkeep as much as you should. And I know that I'm very guilty of it. That's
right.
For sure.
All of us.
I still say a year, and once a year, November, December, when you're going out bird hunting or you're doing something that, non-swordfish related, you can bring them in and, give us 2 to 4 weeks. Most of the time it's going to take 3 to 4 weeks.
And props to Dougie, man. How long has Dougie been at the shop, John?
Oh, I don't know.
25
30
years.
Yeah, I was going to say
20,
30.
Like
25 years.
I've been going there for 30 years, and it's longer than I have.
I've known Dougie I've worked with Dougie from way before the shop. So he's good at it. He's very thorough. And we kind of have a system on, what lubricants we use, what greases we use, and everything, gets done the same way. And
shout out to Dougie, man.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, we're going to be right back. We're at the top of the hour break. We're going to come back. We've got catch reports, your calls, text, and more when we return on the Let's Talk Hookup app and the Sports Grid Radio Network.
I've had the opportunity to fish many places in many different types of water, but never have I fished a place as much fun as Katmai Lodge in Alaska. Hello, my name is Harold Davis, typically fishing in the ocean, but this is an experience that you have to try for yourself. Fish natural rivers with tens of thousands of fish coming up. And they have all the gear: spinning, bait casting, fly rods, kings, silvers, pinks, sockeyes, and my favorite, the chums. Outstanding food, outstanding accommodations, great service. The lodge is located in the beautiful Katmai National Park, filled with amazing wildlife. Brown bears, moose, eagles, otters, and it has spectacular scenery. And also the fact that the lodge is located right on the Alagnak River and your boat is just steps away from your room makes it great. Do yourself a favor. Call Charmel at 1-800-330-0326 or go online, katmai.com. And like Pete says, they will hook you up.
Saturday, November 2nd is Tackle Day at Fisherman's Landing in San Diego. Come see seminars by saltwater experts, great deals on tackle from Shimano, like Terramar rods with TC4 blank construction. Tackle Day at Fisherman's Landing, Saturday, November 2nd.
The best just got better. Shimano is proud to introduce the all-new Talica 20A and 25A reels. The Talica series is Shimano's flagship two-speed lever drag reel. It sits at the very pinnacle of the offshore world. The Shimano's Talica success is driven by its durability and spec attributes, allowing the series to differentiate from other lever drag reels within the market. The Talica is built around a cold-forged machined aluminum one-piece frame. The all-new Talica 20A and 25A now boasts Infinity Drive. Infinity Drive employs 2 drag washers housed in the side of the reel, allowing for an ultra-smooth, powerful drag system, while at the same time increasing winding power under a load as much as 40%. There's also a new lower low gear. If your utmost concern is performance without compromise, Talica 20A and 25A are the reels for you. Available now at your local Shimano dealer.
Sports Grid Radio Network is the premier audio streaming channel dedicated to serving the massive sports wagering and fantasy audience. Found on the Sports Grid app and SiriusXM. Sports Grid's real-time data transforms viewers into informed sports enthusiasts. Get the best in-game live coverage during all the games, as well as the most in-depth pre-game previews from hosts like Scott Farrell, Donnie Rightside, Ben Stevens, Gabe Morency, and many more. To find out where you can listen to Sports Grid, go to sportsgridradio.com. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
The lighter the bite and the cleaner the water means one thing. Need a thinner leader for more natural presentations. That's where Seaguar Gold Label leader material shines. It's Seaguar's thinnest leader material yet. That means it's even less visible underwater and creates more natural presentations, better catch rates on leader-shy fish. With exceptional knot and tinsel strength, this advanced leader material is now available from 2-pound test for fishing trout in the Sierra to 80-pound test for big yellowfin in Guadalupe. Get Seaguar Gold Label at your favorite tackle dealer or learn more at seaguar.com.
Turner's Outdoorsman, Southern California's #1 shooting, hunting, and fishing tackle retailer since 1971, is right in your neighborhood. Now with stores throughout Southern, Central, and Northern California. No one does it better. Turner's Outdoorsman brings you the best prices and selection, plus a knowledgeable staff that will help make your day on the water or in the field more fun. Stop by your neighborhood Turner's Outdoorsman. To find a location nearest you, check the web at turners.com and sign up for special deals and more.
Seasoned long-range fishermen know that the Red Rooster 3 is the finest fishing vessels in terms of technology, design, speed, comfort, and safety. This 105-foot sport fishing yacht meets every demand for comfort while delivering an unforgettable fishing vacation. Captain Andy Cates and crew are experienced, friendly, and sincere in their desire to help you have the trip of a lifetime. Book a trip on the Red Rooster 3 and you'll be back. Trips go fast. So check redrooster3.com or call Lee Palm Sport Fisheries at 619-224-3857.
Now it's time for more of Southern California's sports fishing voice. Let's talk hookup. Get ready for more of the best fishing information and the hottest tips on improving your angling skills. Let's Talk Hookup is sponsored in part by Ford, the official truck of Let's Talk Hookup. Shimano Rods and Reels. Fish with the best. Shimano. And now, Southern California's sports fishing voice, the hosts of Let's Talk Hookup, Pete Gray, Rock Cod Rick Maxa, and Cory Sanden.
Welcome back. Hour number 2. Let's Talk Hookup coming your way. Having a great time this morning in all the different platforms on 1090 AM, on the Sports Grid Radio Network, the Let's Talk Hookup app, Facebook Live, YouTube Live. Lots of ways to take in Let's Talk Hookup these days. As always, big thanks to Adam. Does such a great job putting all of our shows on the archive. Adam's so fast anymore on getting the archive shows up there. So if you missed a hot tip that Nick gave out today, or you just you like listening to Let's Talk Hookup on your drive home from work and help kill some time in traffic, man, lots of great ways to do it. And what a great fun show this has been this morning. So much cool info just all over the place. And that's what Dana Landing is, man. They cover it all.
Dude, Johnny and Nick, they've got it all down pat, man. Whether you're fishing spotted bay bass or the yellowfin local on the 9, I mean, they've got it all dialed in and how they're biting, and such a fun, easy shop. And every time I'm in there, that darn deli just wrecks me, right? But we're giving away a full day, actually not a full day. We're giving away a $100 gift card to one of the 3 shops, which is which I guess could entertain you for a full day, right? Yeah. Whether it's Lemon Grove Bait and Tackle, East County Bait and Tackle, or down at Dana, we're giving away a $100 gift card.
Really cool.
I know. So give us a call, 213-432-1090, or you can text us via the app. And it's time to jump into it, huh, Rick?
You got it, man. Yeah, it's time for our catch report, and there's been some great info this morning. It's time for our fishdope.com report, sponsored by Summit Gasoline at the San Diego Sports Arena. It is the place to fill up your car, truck, or boat with the lowest in gas and diesel prices. Did you know that Summit's also the best prices if you want to get snacks and ice for your trip? 25 cents for your first. That just can't be. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way. 25 cents for your first 5 pounds of ice, or $3.99 for 25 pounds, as many as you want. That's half the price of most of the others. Plus, you get 100 pounds of free ice with a 35-gallon full. They have Kirkland products at lower prices in the store that makes them. Dozens of great snacks at just 89 cents and much more at Summit Gasoline. Free ice for Let's Talk Hookup listeners, and always those lowest prices at the San Diego Sports Arena. We're going to start off with our private boater buddy, Captain Mark Wish of Pacific Edge, on the line. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Mark.
Well, good morning, Rick, Cory, Nick, Johnny. Hey, I got to tell you guys, you were having way too much fun at the start of the show. That was just great listening to all that big fish talk and recapping the end of the game last night. Nice start, buddy. And so now, as to some local reports, I got to tell you, the season is definitely winding down a little bit. Not quite over yet, not by a long shot, but in terms of reports, man, they're just getting scarce. There's not that many guys fishing, so we're getting a little less than usual. But, we had a really interesting late season show on some nice gray barracuda on the Horseshoe for a couple days there. We had good conditions. Water's been nice, clean, a lot of bait and all that. And then for whatever reason, a nice school of barracudas swam in there, and they were biting the surface iron just like the middle of summer when they weren't here. So whatever. They didn't bite yesterday, so maybe that's over, but we'll see. Conditions are still good, though. And then also local, and this was really interesting to me, being squid catching full. A little bit of squid showed up outside of Isers here a few days back, and that bodes really well for our local sea bass season. Hopefully that stuff stays around. I would keep a close eye on the Newport Pipe and Newport Reef guys, because a lot of times big yellows and big sea bass boats settle in for the fall season there, and if that local squid is here, it makes it a lot easier to catch them. Now, or at Catalina, fall season's definitely upon us. Kelpine critters are still biting a little, but, in reality, the focus is turning more toward yellows, sea bass, and halibuts. And those halibuts, we've already seen some really good action on that saltwater halibut. The last couple seasons were just absolutely stellar halibut fishing. And this year, with the guys starting to switch over and look for that stuff, it's already heading in that direction because they were biting. You guys want to fish the sand 10 to maybe 30, 40 feet right on the edges of hard bottom, right on the edge of structure. They'll definitely bite a squid or a sardine, but halibuts love them nice little gumdrop greenback mackerel, little 6, 7, 8-inch mackerel. For those bigger halibuts, they absolutely love them. Also coming into kind of prime time here for the tanker grade yellows that we have around the island, living there like year round. That fall season seems just easier to catch them for some reason. Now, if you're fishing on the bait grounds, that's easy. You go out, you mark a little bit of bait, put the anchor down, catch your bait, start fishing. Piece of cake. But when you're targeting that deep structure fish, you need to be a little bit more precise. You're fishing actual structure spots instead of the squid out there on the sand. So you want to fish like the deep wedge outside of China Point, or Pedestal Rock, Screaming Monkey, the high spots outside of West Cove. Those are all great fall big yellow spots. But you want to be anchoring on those spots, kind of anchor up current from them, and do a little chopping, a little chumming, fish both the dropper loop set up close to the bottom, fly line some baits also, because you get those mid-water fish, surface water fish hanging around the structure. Fish heavy gear, guys, because a lot of that stuff is really good grade, and it pulls hard, and it knows exactly where that structure is. So it doesn't take long for them to cut you off if you're not fishing good gear or paying attention. And then those are backside spots. There's also some spots on the front to take a look at. And I just got some word here recently about a little squid showing up in the isthmus. And that isthmus is absolutely full of structure. In years past, we've had some really, really good fishing on the bait grounds right there by the Coast Guard buoy inside of Lionhead. And I have no idea if anything's happening yet, but there is some bait starting to show up in there, and those yellows are usually not too far behind. So that's this week's report. You got to throw a shout out though for that, the guys with that 660 whatever 3-pound swordfish.
Jumbo, man. Jumbo.
Unbelievable.
Ridiculous.
I read the article that Luke had done about catching that fish, and he put that line in there about when those things come up and they do a little swim by and they give you that look.
Yeah.
Well, I've had the good fortune to see that look many, many times, and he is so right, man. Those things are seriously intimidating. I can't even imagine one of that size. I never caught anything quite that big, but holy crap, those are the coolest fish in the world, and that is a tremendous catch. Congratulations to you.
Crazy
guys.
story. State record. That's going to be a state record, yeah?
Yeah, congratulations to Luke. That is, I mean, that's not a big one. That's not a giant. I mean, that's like it's 600 pounds. It's closer to 700. I mean, the thing, that's unbelievable. And man, yeah, hats off. What a
Mark,
fish. That's so cool.
I have a funny one for you. I've actually got that tail hanging in my backyard, drying.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. 43 and a half inch
from tip to tip.
From tip to tip.
Oh
But it's so crazy because I'm not familiar with swordfish, right? Or, big game like that. But 3 inches on each end, like curved back, right? So, but it's still like 43, whatever.
Unreal.
From tip to tip. Yeah.
Your neighbors must be so stoked.
Oh, dude, right? Exactly. Well, thankfully, it's far enough away from everybody. It's hanging in a pine tree and all on its own.
That's cool.
Awfully delicious, man.
Yeah. What a fish, man.
I from years back, I've got a tail of the tail.
Yeah.
About yellowfin tuna from a big one I hooked at San Benedicto that the sharks relieved me of everything but the tail.
Oh,
and I saw the fish when it bit. I was on the kite and I saw it jump out of the water, and it's like, oh my God. And all that we got back was the tail.
Wow.
And I measured it from tip to tip, and then unfortunately they threw it over. I would have had it mounted. But I went around to every yellowfin tuna that I could find on a wall and measured their tail tip to tip.
Yeah.
This thing would have been close to 400 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Unbelievable.
That's cool.
Crazy.
The one that got away.
That is, man.
And there's a lot of big swordfish around, man. It's
Boy, you're not
awesome
kidding.
to hear.
Yeah, that's crazy. Awesome. Well, Mark, a great report as always, buddy. Sure appreciate that. If somebody wants to get doped up on the swordfish zone, which I know you guys do a lot of, or the best bait tanks in the business, how do we find you?
Ricky, we're in Huntington Beach. We're on a corner of Bolsa Chica and Edger, and the phone number is 714-840-4262. The website's PacificEdgeTackle.com. And we're going to have another good report next week.
I like your thinking, man.
Yeah, no doubt. She's not singing yet. No matter how many breaths the fat lady takes, she's not singing yet. That's for sure. We got plenty of it.
And I have a quick question. What do you think? Because there's a hurricane 1,000 miles from here that got up to almost a Category 5. Do you see that impacting anything in our backyard at all? Like fishing wise?
The course it's on, and as fast as it's moving and so on and so forth, it's going to get a little swell, not much, supposedly. And we're supposed to get maybe a little moisture. So it's just not in our window very well, unfortunately. Yeah. It's been a weird season with hurricanes and stuff this year. It's been a weird season everywhere.
I had my fingers crossed. Maybe you had a better scenario.
It's been I'll tell you what's been crazy, and it's kind of flying a little under the radar, is how good the grade of yellowfin tuna that's being caught from our day-and-a-half fleet right now. And I mean, they're just, it's some guys have fantastic hits on them. Other guys just have, that good average fishing, 1-2 around kind of thing. But I mean, it's not uncommon for us to hang a 70-pound yellowfin tuna from a day-and-a-half trip right now.
Ridiculous.
I don't know if I ever remember that being a thing. The average fish that we're catching on our overnight day-and-a-half trips right now
40 pounds.
is 40 to 45 pounds. The average one,
Crazy.
They're all that size. And then the standouts are 60s and 70s and even touching 80 pounds.
What's the cycle on that right now? I mean, is it still moving north? I mean, it's kind of late, but it's awesome to hear that it is.
I just think that's the far northern reach of that amazing ridge fishing that those guys have had, and all that fish has been from Cedros and below, and I just think that's the farthest little northern.
Yeah, you know what would be really interesting is we have nobody checking Guadalupe, but that's Guadalupe grade fish, and it'd be interesting if it was some of it from there, or if it's some of that stuff from that ridge fish trickling up our way. But I'll tell you what, I had a piece of that. One of my customers brought me a piece.
It's amazing.
This came in. Holy crap, that stuff is it's so rich good. And fatty. It's just delicious.
I've mentioned it a few times on here. It's unbelievable how good it is.
No doubt. No doubt. And like I said, it just, because it's happened so late in the year and so many people have had, their great shots of big bluefin, like for some reason it's not getting the press that it deserves. And I mean, there's some really good fishing on really nice ones, but once you start getting into late October, if we were having, I always say the same thing, if this level of fishing was happening in May or June, there wouldn't be a parking spot at any boat at any landing. But here we are having 50-pound average yellowfins that are biting poppers and things like that. And it's, you could jump on a boat today, no problem.
Yeah.
You could call Marcos from Seaforth and probably snag a spot right now. Well, Mark, a great report as always, buddy. Sure appreciate it very much. And we'll look forward to talking to you next week.
You got it. We'll see you guys.
Thanks,
great conversation. And speaking of Marcos, got the man on the line, man. Good morning, Marcos from C4 Sport Fishing.
Hey, Marcos.
Good morning, guys. How you doing this morning?
Doing good. Figured you might just have the answer of how to get on a boat to catch one of those yellowfin.
You guys did the rest of my job there, talking about how great fishing is. So yeah, I will tell you how to get on the boat there. And fishing is good from those half days up to, like you said, those day and a half to 2 days, 3 days longer. Half days, really, really good bottom fishing right now, fishing deep. Full days catching yellowtail. The day and a half catching bluefin and yellowfin, a couple skipjack in the mix. I mean, they're like summertime counts, not almost November counts. So pretty good fishing all around there. I think you guys get a pretty good overview there. So check the website, seaforthlanding.com. We have our full schedule up there for those half days, the full days, the day and a half trips. Those are definitely scheduled there, and there's been some great fishing on there. A few longer trips in the mix. Check the full schedule online there. You can make reservations online. You can always give us a call at the office if you have more questions. 619-224-3383. Come down, visit us in person. We've got people here to help you out in the tackle shop, to help you make reservations, to get you out on the boat there and get fishing. And like you said, it's a nice mix of fishing now, but we're getting that time of year where you definitely need to make reservations, not necessarily because the boat's filling up, but because if they don't get enough reservations, they won't run.
Yeah,
that's a great call. Yeah.
Marcos,
it's that time of year. We talk about this fish every year, but we run out of fishermen before we run out of fish. And it's kind of really showing that we've got some great fishing right now.
You talked about it too earlier. The grade of rockfish that the new Seaforth have been catching is just, with the access to deep water and areas that don't get fished all the time. I saw
on a half day boat.
I saw a new Seaforth picture on Instagram. It literally looked like guys were fishing collinet. Like, I mean, both guys, both hands full of reds that were 3 to 5 pounders and bigger still. It was unreal. I mean, I couldn't believe, walking off a half day trip right now is unreal. It's like you took 4 hours out of the middle of a day and a half collinet rock cod trip.
You could leave at daylight and be home and eating your rockfish for lunch.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I know you guys have been around long enough, if you remember those collinet, like you said, the freezer fillers, where in the winter they would go down there and get all the reds and rockfish, and people ask why we don't run them anymore, and that's kind of part of the reason. Fishing has been great on the half days there, and I mean, we're still going to run trips as often as we can, but one thing to talk about with those trips is be prepared with the right gear. They're fishing 600 feet plus, and they're using 12 to 18 ounce anchors, so as much as we'd love you to be able to fish those with, your bass rods, you're definitely going to need something heavier for those.
That's a good call for sure. Well, Marcos, some great fishing going on. One more time, shoot us a phone number if somebody wants to get in on that. The offshore fishing at the islands with Booger. How do we find it?
Check the website, seaforthlanding.com. It's available all the time there, and you can make reservations online directly. Our full schedule's up there. You see the same thing we do. If you just prefer to do it over the phone or you have any questions, give us a call, 619-224-3383. More than happy to get you guys out there fishing. And like we say every week here, don't put away your gear yet, because there's some great fishing going on right now.
No doubt. Great job, Marcos. Excellent report. We'll talk to you next week.
We'll talk to you then, guys.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Let's go to a spot where it never seems to be winding down. And
Right?
That's at Cedro Sport Fishing. And we got Rosie on the line this morning. Good morning, Rosie.
It's always just ramping up.
Good morning, guys. Good morning. Hey, great show this morning. And, I just need to give a huge shout out to Dana Landing. Every time I'm in there, those guys take such great care of not only me, but our crew and Ponga captains at the island. Every year they outfit everybody with new hats for all the captains and the crew and captains just love them. So thanks so much to everyone at Dana Landing. All right. So our last trip of the season is, I can't believe I'm even saying that. Our last trip of the season is down at the island right now.
Oh, no way.
And Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
It's just crazy. And, you know, it kind of is ending the same exact way that it is starting. And that is that it's, you know, it's just a little bit cooler. It's that fall fishing. But I tell you what, the fish are still big. This season has been a season like no other, where the fish are just big. And, you know, we got a few guys down there that are just crazy about doing surface iron, and it's all working on surface iron. And we've got another part of, you know, another group down there that are not only doing dropper loop and yo-yos, but they're still pulling up 38 to 42 pound yellowtail. Just amazing. So that's all working good for them. And a couple of the guys are coming home with some white sea bass and some halibut. So it has just been a beautiful season, and this trip is going to be a great end to the season. So really good. We have the schedule, the 2025 schedule is up, and book sooner than later, because I've got over 61 trips next year, and they're all starting to fill up. And I will be able to add more trips to the season next year. So if we get more interest, I will go, you know, further into June at Lodge 2 and further into October. I shouldn't say further into Lodge 2 in June, but closer into going back into May.
So
and then,
is that adding an extra month on each end then for Lodge 2?
Bingo.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Rosie. Great news.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, and what a
So,
season!
I mean, it's like,
what a season you guys had. I mean, it was just trip after trip of big ones, and you know, both the Let's Talk Hookup trips went so well. We had such a great time. We're already looking forward to those next time, and I know those are filling up fast. And like you said, Rosie, that I don't think there is a prime time down there. People ask me that all the time. You
always
know,
good.
like, oh, you've been a bunch. When do you
all
like to
prime.
go? And I used
it's
to.
all prime.
I used to always say June was my favorite month because the bass fishing is so good and the yellowtail is always good down there. And then one year June didn't work with our schedule, so I went in August. And then I told people August is the best month there's ever been. And a fall trip in October, spectacular. Like, it's so good. And like you said, man, book your spot now, because you're going to turn around and next summer is going to be here, and then all those spots are going to be gone. So one more time, Rosie, if somebody does want to do that, especially pre-show season, you know, we got PCS show coming up, all those things.
Right.
Like, you really want to get your spots in before that, because that's when so much of it gets vacuumed up.
And that is so true. It's like, please don't wait for any of the shows, because we will be we'll probably be full. So the sooner you get a hold of me, the better. Best way to get a hold of me is to just give me a buzz, 619-772-7570. And usually what I tell everyone is go to cedrosportfishing.com, kind of look at the schedule, see what's open, then give me a call, because we'll go over all your questions and then place you on the right trip. So again, that's 619-772-7570.
You got it, Rosie. Great job. Great report. What a wrap up to an excellent season. Sure appreciate it. And we'll talk to you soon.
You got it. Have a
Great
great day,
great
guys.
job, Rosie. Thanks a lot for that. Hey, I want to remind you, too, another big thing coming up next weekend. We always get asked about live broadcasts, and there's just not a lot of live broadcasts that we do with Let's Talk Hookup these days. We always do it at the big spring kickoff sale at Dana Landing, and one of the rare live opportunities coming up next Saturday will be live at Tackle Day at Fisherman's Landing.
Huge day.
Yeah, going to be a big day and a big sale and lots of fun, but that'll be the next live opportunity for Let's Talk Hookup next Saturday and next Saturday morning live at Fisherman's Landing.
And Doug Kern will be in studio in the World Headquarters tomorrow?
Tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah,
Doug
perfect.
will be here tomorrow talking about the big sale. And Saturday is always a fun show. We have no guest on purpose. You know, there's so many people, all the different saltwater vendors, the CalStars
Lawrence
and
from
Shimano's.
Fishworks and-
Exactly like that. All
Benny
the
Florentino.
all the major players will be there. Benny's not only going to be there, Benny's going to give us a call tomorrow, kind of give us a rundown of how that fall bass fishing has been. But also, Benny, we have a really cool seminar. Part of the fun in Tackle Days is like there's a bunch of different seminars that go on. Like the kind of we just picked like kind of the best guys at what they do. So we've got Captain Matt Bralla doing a surface iron yellowtail seminar. And then in the middle of the day, we've got the guys from West Coast Jiggers and Brian Wynn. They're going to be talking about, all that new jigging style technique, the tackle and fishing. And then we have a really cool one Benny Florentino and Matt Florentino, father and son together, going to be doing a duo on calico bass fishing. Matt now working with Salty Crew and Benny working coastal charters and all that fishing in Africa is going to be a really, really fun.
That's big time,
really
right
fun
there.
with Benny and Matt.
And Benny's such a gentleman, and has got his thumb on everything.
Totally.
Yeah.
And Matt, such an accomplished
good
bass
guy.
fisherman. It's going to be awesome. Yeah. We're really looking forward to it. But anyways, again, next Saturday, live broadcast of Let's Talk Hookup. Going to be a lot of fun.
Like father, like son,
That's
man.
it, man.
The Florentinos. Hey, and the Catch Report, it's sponsored by the Fisherman's Processing in San Diego, where you get your premier processing experience. Check out the easier online system to book your processing for your long-range trips. With more team members, Fisherman's Processing stays far ahead of the rest. More same-day capacity and the finest customer service. Stop by their location in Old Town on Taylor Street, or you can check them out at fishermansprocessing.com and make your reservations today.
Had a great text. It says, "Good morning, guys. I just got back from the Royal Star on a 4-day. We had over 100 yellowtail, over 130 yellowfin tuna. They were all between 60 and 70 pounds. And I also got my personal best 180-pound bluefin. It was the best trip I've ever done in my life." That's from Tom in Salem, Arizona.
That's
incredible. That's the level of fishing that's going on right now. It's awesome.
And that goes through Fisherman's Processing, like we just mentioned, and the 5 mil bags. It'll be good for over a year.
How about coming home with some of that 70-pound yellowfin, a big giant bluefin to go along with it?
That's good fish.
Yellow.
Like Mark Wish mentioned, man, that yellowfin is some of the best I've ever had.
I love it. I love it. Well, the phones are packed up.
Yeah.
Everybody's excited to talk to Nick and Johnny. Let's jump back into it, Cory.
Let's do it. Longest waiting there, Dan in West Covina. Good morning, Dan.
Dan, thanks for hanging in there with us.
Hey, no problem at all, man. Good talking to you, Rick and Cory. And I've been tuning in lately on the weekends because I've got an upcoming trip to East Cape and be staying at the Palma State Cortez. So I look forward to meeting Chris and everybody in a couple of weeks. But I had to, I can't wait. It's going to be fun. But I wanted to ask Nick and Johnny about, they were talking about sword fishing earlier in the show, and I had to ask them, what's the process that you go after those things? Are you on the drift, down rigging? Are you using glow sticks? How does that work as you go after them?
Great question.
It is.
So you're drifting. Most of these guys are fishing 1,400 to 2,200 feet of water, using anything from 8 to 12 pounds of lead, depending on wind and current. Then just, we're using about 100-foot leaders of anything from 150 to 300 pounds. And then that's connected to a clip, which then is connected to a 6-foot leader of 300 pound, pretty much for your bite leader, which is connected to your squid or your eel of choice, and you're pretty much just, drifting, areas, that either have a hard temp edge, or you're marking a deep scattering layer. We weren't really seeing it a bunch earlier in the first couple weeks that I fished, but now, 600, 800 feet, I'm seeing a lot of, they call it DSL, so the deep scattering layer. But what I'm seeing is most of these fish that we're weighing are eating 1 to 2 pound rockfish.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going to say probably 75% of the fish that I'm seeing. Yeah.
So you mentioned 1,400 to 2,200 feet of water?
Yeah.
Or is that the depth you're going down to?
No, that's the depth of water we're fishing.
Okay.
And then usually the guys on the tip, most of the time you're fishing 2 rods, the tip rod being connected right directly to your weight. And you have that down, anywhere from 800 to 1,000 feet.
Crazy. And so the tip rod is like in the rod holder on the boat.
The rod holder, yes, exactly. And then you also have another rod that's in the rod holder that's connected to a buoy or a float, whatever kind of float system you like. That usually has, they call it a buoy whip on it. And, most guys, if you have a big capacity reel, you're going to put one at 800 and one at 1,000 feet. And guys are fishing, either, you're picking one or the other, the buoy whip, and then you're connecting your buoy to that line. It's a little 12-foot section of 200 pounds that has a loop on it. And then you just connect you have a long line clip that's connected to your buoy, and then you just connect that to the
And it's just like fishing loop. A bobber in fresh water, but instead of 4 feet down, you're
1,000 or 800
down.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy, Dan, because you're talking big game. I mean, a 663 pounder that was just caught. And Nick, they're not going out 60 miles. Like,
No, yeah,
like where are most of these?
Yeah, it's a very enjoyable day. I mean, you can go out and fish the 9. If you're a recreational fisherman, you can definitely fish below the border, 302. I was talking with Danny Fuller. He's the guy. If you're a recreational fisherman, you do not have to stay above the border. Now, just realize that you will have to hand crank because you can't take the electric reels into Mexico. So you will have to hand crank, but there's just as good opportunity below the border as there is above. But yeah, the 178's kind of, the main area right now. And it's a big area. Some guys are fishing the south, some guys are fishing the north. And then you have a bunch of stick boats out there too, also dropping buoys, so there's a lot of activity out there on the 9 right now.
Crazy. I mean, it's not that far from the harbor.
It's such a weird pace of fishing because the fishing part of things is so slow, and get pictures from the boys, like barbecue and burgers on the back of the boat, and like there's just so little going on. It's been really nice weather, and it's tunes and beanbag, and then all of a sudden
we're on.
Hey, we got the one, we got the it's wild, it's such a different thing of calmness and chaos, and then all of a sudden, are we tied? Are we not? And swordfish being one of the toughest animals in the world, but they're so soft, and it's not uncommon for hooks to pull out of them. That's just part of it. Like you gotta.
And you're gonna lose more than you catch. For most people, like there's guys that are on cloud 9 right now that have caught 1 or 2 in 1, 2, or 3 trips, but if these guys continue to do it, I've talked to quite a few guys that were successful 2-3 weeks ago in that October 13th to 16th time window. And now they've hooked a couple more fish, and they're starting to get away. So they're starting to see that this is a very, very hard fishery.
Here's the other thing that completely blows my mind. Like, you don't need the 60-foot yacht. You don't need the perfect 30-foot twin hull badass boat.
Nope.
How about Dylan?
I was just gonna say, man,
Dylan that helps Brandon Hayward. What the heck? What does he fish out of?
There's probably more a 14-foot catamaran Mexicat. There's probably more rod and reel recreational swordfish caught on that 14-footer likely than any other boat. You know what I mean?
And I think 14 foot is giving it.
That's including the rub rail and the distance the anchor hangs off the back.
With the outboard.
The back of the outboard.
Dude, that thing is so narrow.
Crazy.
It's narrower than these 2 tables together. Seriously.
Yeah. I've seen them out there when we're coming in from tuna fishing or something. What? In the glasses.
Johnny's always worried that one of the blue skiffs made it out to the 9.
What is that? It looks like a some type of buoy or something. And they're like, oh, wait a minute, there's a dude fishing on that.
It's just one of the best swordfish on the coast. You know what I mean?
Not until he turns sideways. Oh, it's
exactly. Well, we're having lots of fun and lots more to come.
Man, we're going to be right back. And having Johnny and Nick in here, we're going to be right back on the Let's Talk Hookup app and the Sports Grid Radio Network.
Everyone has their go-to fishing spot. My spot is Kingfisher Charters in Sitka, Alaska. Rockcod Rick here to say if you're looking for the ultimate Alaska experience and the best value in Alaska, it's Kingfisher Charters. Owner Seth Bone and his crew consistently deliver deluxe accommodations, the finest food, world-class fish processing, and top-of-the-line fishing experience. We've literally sent hundreds of our listeners to Kingfisher, and they all can't wait to go back. Most Alaska resorts make big promises, and they don't deliver, or they'll nickel and dime you to drive up the cost, but not Kingfisher. Everything is included. Your license, fish processing, super deluxe accommodations, amazing food, airport transfers, your gear. Literally all you need to bring is your layer clothing, and Kingfisher covers the rest. They also have the finest boats and charter captains in Sitka, all for the ultimate value. Take it from me. Book your trip to Kingfisher Charters and you'll thank me. Kingfisher Charters. 800-727-6136 or check kingfishercharters.com.
Saturday, November 2nd, it's Tackle Day at Fisherman's Landing in San Diego, and it's our largest sale ever. Plenty of seminars by saltwater experts, over 20 reps from tackle manufacturers like Shimano. Come check out the new Shimano Talica A, the pinnacle of lever drag 2-speed reels. The Talica features Shimano's Hagani body to prevent misalignment of moving parts under the heaviest loads. When throwing jigs, the Shimano Trinidad is your top choice. For the best ever tackle bargains, check out Tackle Day at Fisherman's Landing, Saturday, November 2nd.
Lobster season is here. It's time to gear up with the best in the business. Promar, based in SoCal. Promar knows lobster and makes everything you need to catch these tasty critters. The Promar guys are hardcore lobster fishermen and have designed the most successful hoop nets and accessories on the market, including the Ambush Series hoop net line, the original hoop net designed for SoCal lobster hooping. Visit Promar on Facebook or on the web at promarahi.com.
Inside information is everything when it comes to catching fish in Southern California. You need a code group to connect with what's happening on the water. FishDope.com is your code group. Inside information available at your fingertips 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. FishDope.com really does help you catch more fish and burn less fuel. FishDope.com is the only fish finding service with a spotter plane, along with a crew of top anglers on the water almost every day that report actual locations and catches. They become your code group. You get daily catch reports from Point Conception to San Catine, 365 days a year. FishDope.com has online planning tools, temperature and chlorophyll charts, hot bite icons, and more. Take it from me, if you don't have FishDope.com, you're not part of the in-the-know crowd. Membership is affordable and good for an entire year. Plus, use the special code and save $30 on a new FishDope.com membership. Check it out today. FishDope.com. Catch more fish, burn less fuel.
Great fishing is what Seaforth Sports Fishing in Mission Bay is all about. With free parking and fully stocked tackle shop, Seaforth Sport Fishing is a favorite among anglers. Come aboard top boats like the Aztec, Cortez, Endeavor, Apollo, Outer Limits, Elgato Doe, Pride, Polaris Supreme, Tribute, Pacifica, Pacific Voyager, and the Voyager. Plus, the new Seaforth, Sea-Watch, and San Diego offer the finest half and full day trips available. Seaforth Sport Fishing. For charters or schedule, check seaforthlanding.com. Run by fishermen for fishermen in Mission Bay.
All right. Welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup, man. All the good talk going on in here. So stoked you want to join us. 213-432-1090, or you can text us via the app. Make sure you do leave your name and telephone number. We're giving away a $100 gift card to one of the three shops, which is Lemon Grove Bait and Tackle, East County Bait and Tackle out in Lakeside, or Dana Landing right there on Mission Bay.
That's it, man. Having a great time. Phones have
Right?
been very busy this morning, but it's a great opportunity to get through right now. Still plenty of time to get your call. And we've been full since about the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
We had 2 drop off during the break. So it's been the first time there's an open line right this second you can get through. If you want to talk to Nick, talk to Johnny, 213-432-1090.
You know, it's cool. The text come right through, and a shout out to Wyatt Bingham, who just texted us with spotted bay bass. It's spotted bay bass.
Perfect. No words at all.
Right?
It just said Wyatt Bingham and a giant spotty.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Good time.
No doubt. Well, hey, we had another fun text come through from Darren and Menifee. It says, good fall morning to everybody. Talking tackle. I have an upcoming trip. I'm going on my first 2-day trip in 2 weeks. Nick, what size knife jigs for nighttime tuna and then also potentially deep water rock cod fishing do you like? What are the best models? Also, is there need to upgrade the hooks? Thanks for all the info.
I really like the SK jig. That's probably one of my favorites, and I'm usually going to have it in a variety of sizes. Something 150 to 200 grams for some of the shallower stuff, and even for rockfish, I've caught some of my better lingcod on that jig too. The Shimano Flatfall is another one if the current's not too strong, because it does take a little longer to get down with the keel weighted system of that. But yeah, the SK jig, and the 250 gram is kind of my go-to sweet spot, because for me, I get bit a lot more on the retrieve than I do on the sink.
You do?
Yeah.
At night too?
Yeah, even
Really?
at night. Yeah, I don't fish a ton at night.
Yeah.
But yes, even then I still do get bit more on the line than I do on the drop.
Wow.
And so for me, like, I can go to 300 or 400 grams, but then it slows down my retrieval rate on the way back up. And the days that I feel that nights that I'm successful, I'm really burning that jig, and you can hear my reel moving much faster than most people on the rail. And so for me, the 250 gram, SK jig is my go-to.
What about hooks, Johnny? Hooks need to be done on that one, on other ones. Do you guys sell the different?
We sell the
rigging
different. I
ways?
think the go-to hook is that Mustad. I'm not even sure the number on it, but it's it's got a feather on it, and it's
Jigging assist
yeah,
too,
the
yeah.
jigging assist too. That hook is the go-to hook. The SKs for the most part are usually good out of the box. I have heard an occasional customer is like, oh no, I would switch that hook out, or it used to be a good hook and now it's not as good. It seems strong enough to me, but I will, like, if any deckhands from any of the sport boats come in, I always ask them, if you had to pick one jig, what are you going to use? And most of the time it's that SK. So it's not a fancy lure. It's pretty much just a torpedo,
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, but it for whatever reason it does work.
What about, like Rick's mentioned, the tungsten stuff? Do you carry?
Yeah, we carry tungsten. I don't have anything over 170 grams.
Right.
Those don't come with hooks. We didn't get them until like after the main part of like the nighttime bite was over. But it's definitely like I go down to the Limitless. They run out of our dock and they have tungsten jigs that are, I don't know where they get them from. They don't even look like any kind of knife jig. They just happen to be made out of tungsten. And
wow,
because they get down there, it's denser metal and it gets down there faster. It gets bit
for a smaller presentation when they want a smaller presentation.
Yeah. Right. But I sell some, like for people doing that type of trip, like a rip roller is good. And I tell them to don't use the hooks that come on it for tuna fishing, but save it. So when you're going to fish rockfish, put those hooks back on top and bottom, and you got a good shot of getting 2 fish on 1 lure.
That's a great call.
Yeah. Those are really good hooks. They're just not good 200-pound tuna hooks. Right. Most of those lures, that's what's so fun. Like, none of those were designed for guys to go catch giant tuna fish with. Right. We'll get it in the shop and a guy's going on the Pacific Queen on a 3-day. Then the trip before they had 70 over 150 pounds. Like, man, why would they put these garbage hooks on here? It's like, well, because that thing was made to go catch a snapper. You know what I mean?
It's not a garbage hook. It's meant for the technique that you're using with that jig.
And that's crazy to think. Our SoCal bite, like, it's so specific. Like, it's one of the only places in the world where you can get a 200 to 300, legitimate 300-pounder on that style of jig.
And just like Darren's talking about, how crazy is it that the same lure that works fantastic to catch a 190-pound bluefin, the next morning also works great for catching a red.
Right?
It's so good.
Yeah. And not a small red, a quality red.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. Well, the phones are packed up. We're going to jump right back into it. Let's do it, Cory.
Let's do it. How about Doug? Doug calling from Wildemar. Good morning, Doug. Appreciate you joining us.
Got you there, Doug? Well, looks like
I've got a text while we wait.
Yeah, let's hear that.
How about that? It comes from John Amir Mesa, and I bring this up because Dana Landing carries one of the most
funny. I had the same
badass.
one. It's the same one to read too. That's great.
I have to, right? Hi, Johnny and Nick. I need to replace a ghost shrimp pump, and I'm too lazy to make my own. Do you carry any of the 3 shops? Or the one only on Mission Bay?
We carry them at our shop. I don't know if they do at East County. We have both the regular PVC one, and then we also have the
forget about the PVC.
Yeah, the Alvi stainless steel.
That's why I brought this up, because that Alvi pump, that stainless, skinnier. It's about a third less diameter than the PVC.
It's maybe not that much. It just appears that because the metal is so thin,
so skinny.
Yeah.
So it goes into the sand easy. When I worked on the bait boats, a lot of people don't know, but I think I told Johnny the other day, I commercial pumped for a couple years.
Luke told me this.
Oh, did he? Yeah. So I did that for a couple years and supplied the Shelter Island Pier.
Yep.
I bought a truck.
Yeah, that's what
pumping
Luke told
ghost
me.
shrimp.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
No joke.
Profits made from just pumping shrimp.
Just from pumping ghost shrimp.
That's legit.
I would do that before I went and pulled net on the Lampara and the bait boat. How about that?
You're a wild man.
Yeah.
Did you use the Alvi pump?
It was an Alvi pump. So that's the whole reason I bring this up, because those pumps are so industrial and so bulletproof. They're worth, what do they cost?
$99.99.
Still, it's the same price. That is, honest to God, the same price from
20 years later. 30 years later. That's cool.
Yeah, Johnny has one from high school days.
When Bubba was in high school, he bought one and he still uses it.
That's so rad.
If you're looking like
longer
just
ago than I want to admit,
Ricky, even if you only go a couple times a year to pump, it'll make your life 10 times easier.
Well, it's like a thing. Like, I got a picture hanging up in my office of me and Wyatt pumping ghost shrimp. Like, it's our thing to do. We'll go wade around and in the water and pump shrimp, and it's a cool activity for the boys. And then you're getting your bait, and then we go to the boat, we catch a couple fish, then we go get a peanut butter jelly sandwich at Dana Landing. Like that's our routine. And you're right. Like, you buy a PVC one, you'll hopefully get through the season before you break the handle piece off. They're made of PVC. It's what it is. None of us take care of them. You know what I mean? Like,
the suction's not there.
Yeah, it gets brittle. You're trying to push down with your left hand on a little T handle. It snaps off. And you just either go get another one of those next time, or you make an investment. You buy the killer one, and you're done.
Dude, if you're listening to this, go down to Dana Landing and get yourself an Alvey pump.
We have 3 left right now. So
do you?
Yeah, that's all.
You
we
did.
Have. Yeah.
They might be
we'll have
gone.
to make an order.
We're actually going to start. I got a couple that were returned because people lost the parts to them, and I put them back together. So we're actually going to rent them.
Oh yeah,
really cool idea.
Yeah, so
seriously,
I've got 2 used ones that we decided we're going to rent them. For $15.
Great idea.
There you go.
And you can go get the
pump
shrimp yourself.
Yeah,
pump your own. So,
wow. I like it. And it's a fun, easy thing. Again, like we do it with the boys because it's a fun task to part of. And you're pumping fantastic bait to fish in the bay with. Everything eats a live ghost shrimp. Absolutely everything. And it's just a cool deal that
it's fun to do.
Anywhere in Mission Bay that water touches sand, you look down, there's ghost shrimp holes. That bay is littered with them and all kinds of great spots. And yeah, it's rad.
The other good place is the entrance to San Diego Bay right there, or not San Diego Bay, but
flood control.
Yeah, the flood control.
We're gonna
San
have
Diego
to cut
River.
that part out of the show.
I know, right?
I'm just kidding.
So there's a ton of little ones there, like little 1-inchers,
Yeah,
right? But if you do it in Mission Bay, it's a lot more difficult. But they're huge. They're like 3 inches.
When we were going all the time, flood control was where we liked the size for fishing bonefish in the back bay because we like the little ones.
Right.
And then you have all your other spots that this has got big ones and the bass eat these ones.
Yeah.
And, we were
dude. Anywhere where there's a tidal zone, you got a chance.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
It's fun. Well, hey, I had another great text come through. It says, questions for Nick and John. What turns on and off the bay bass bite? I've always wondered if bay bass stay in the same place all the time from day to day or seasonal variations. In catching them, I was hoping you could explain the difference in their feeding behaviors throughout the different seasons. I've known that targeting them through bridges and flats, we always seem to catch fish, but what turns those things on and off the most? Norm in San Diego.
I mean, to me, it's just the tides.
Yeah, tide is
the
king.
Current, like, and there's certain parts of the month where, or not really the month. There's certain times of the moon phase where the tide is more flat, and you get that diurnal. Like you may only have 1 tide a day. It's just not a great time to fish. I'm not saying you can't catch fish then, but that's when it's slower. And when
that's not going to be your 50 fish afternoon.
No.
Right.
And
that's
then
when to explore.
Yeah. On the other hand, you get king tide situations where you got 7 or 8 feet of water moving in 6 or 8 hours. Sometimes that can be not as good.
Just as unfriendly.
Yeah. I like 4 foot. 4 feet of movement is a pretty good bet to get the fish. And I don't know if it's maybe that they're not feeding, but for what we're doing, that condition is going to be best for getting
for
more
everything.
bites. Yeah. For getting more, but for every kind of fish that's out there, also halibut.
And water temperature. I'm sure water temperature definitely plays a large part of it also.
Yeah. If it's been 68 degrees for 2 months, and then all of a sudden the water rolls over and it's 61.
Not a good thing.
The fish are going to kind of, and that goes with any kind of fish.
Yeah, right. Tuna fishing or whatever it might be. But being in the bay, I mean, you could go back in the back, and it might not be 61, but it might be 64.
Right. Yeah.
Closer to what they had. Right. So yeah, I mean might not be in the front, but in the back of the bay.
Find the condition.
Right.
Yeah. And that's what I do. I kind of fish the way, as I get older, I fish the way I want. And so there might be days that I don't catch quite as many, but I'm doing it the way that I want to do it.
So when you were younger, you didn't fish the way you wanted to?
I was more focused on numbers, and, I would, but I think I've talked to you about this. Like you like to go out and fish the popper, like you're not going to throw too many other things.
Like I don't care to come home with 20 fish.
Right.
Like,
well, that's where we're at.
If I get 1 and it's the way I wanted it,
right,
it means more than having 5.
Right. Well, that's where I'm.
I only need 1.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
Right.
Just
Please.
Yes. I just need 1 more than Nick. That's it.
We got a text from Jody, who's listening to us in the from the back bay in his float tube.
Nice.
Nice.
With what looks like illegal halibut. Good job, Jody.
There you go, Jody.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, we had another great question come through. It says, hey, good morning, guys. Great show. Hey, Nick, you touched on it earlier, My question is, can Nick or Johnny tell us a little bit about fishing northern Sierra Cortez, mainly Bay of LA and Gonzaga? What do you prefer, favorite rod reel, and most importantly, lure setups? That's from Dane in Huntington Beach.
And exact spots, the exact rod.
LA Bay was kind of the hot spot this year, if you ask me. Like April, May, and June, like I heard more people coming into the shop to fish down there than I ever have before.
Really?
Yeah, which is great. You know, I enjoy it down there. I've been down there a couple times. I fish Abriojos and La Bocana and Mulegé a little bit more. But yeah, LA Bay was fantastic this year. From what I did hear was you have to be prepared to fish 400 feet, like especially in that summer, you know, as it gets closer to June and July, those fish are going to go deeper. And so you know, a lot of guys are fishing slow pitch jigs and, you know, things like that, but they're fishing for 400, 500 feet, you know, so it's enjoyable, but I like to focus more on that 200 to 300 feet. You know, after you start getting over 300 feet, it kind of wears me out a little bit. So, and plus I like the speed jig too versus flat, you know, fishing.
A lot of the guys were fishing inshore down there too. And it's like, Cabria and grouper and stuff. And they were just, the amount of bone colored, either
minnows.
SP minnows or current snipers, current sniper, you know, type lipped, crank or jerk baits. I mean, they were
smoking.
We couldn't keep them on the shelf. Like bone color was definitely the hottest, like the kind of mint green toothpaste. There's a Yozuri, hydro minnow that worked pretty good too. But any of those type of, you know, with a heavy bass rod, and you know, you want to run probably like 60-pound leader with that and fishing through the rocks.
That's what's cool about Dana. I mean, it could be the bay bass, it could be the swordfish,
totally.
It could be the boys that are running down in the wintertime, like they've got the time off and they're coming through to go, dude, the guys from Salty Crew, Jared, I mean, I'm sure they're
fishing all the
we
time.
pride ourselves in just being very knowledgeable in all aspects. You know, there's definitely guys at the shop that have their expertises in certain areas, but all of us are pretty well rounded that we can, you know, you come into the shop and, you know, people will call, what day are you there? What day is Johnny there? And it's just like, you can come into the shop and even me and Johnny, if our Bubba's not there, there's going to be Roger, there's going to be Aaron, there's going to be other guys that can take care of you just as well as we do. You know,
and is Gene still helping out at the shop?
Occasionally,
yeah.
I
Okay,
mean, he's Mr. Mustad
makes
now.
A cameo appearance.
But you know, if something happens, if someone's not going to be there, it's like, oh yeah, Gene will come in. You know, Gene can come in and work. But yeah, like the kids at the shop, like they're fishing every single day. You know, so like a lot of times when people come in, they're like, you know, what should I do for, you know, bay bass right now? And I just go, Aaron.
Yeah,
you know, set this guy up. Yeah, set this guy up. You were just out, or you know, I'll try to find the person who has just been doing it, you know, most recently. You know, I mean, it's like a waiting list for like Nick or Bubba. You know, like people just call all day, like, is Bubba in? Is Bubba in? Well, he's not in yet, or well, he'll be in this afternoon. Okay, you know, and they come in for. I mean, I almost feel sorry for him because he's got like a line of people waiting for him when he gets into. You know, when he gets into work, but
you've got the same thing too. I mean, there's people waiting for Nick. There's people waiting for Johnny. Like everybody's got their comfort level.
Nick's got his.
Bubba's just a little more. Bubba's a little more personal. He tells really cool stories. You know, I'm a little more straightforward and like, okay, let's get things done. And you know, if you want to talk shop and you know, BS a little bit more, you know, Bubba excels in that. He has really good stories.
Well, let's try to sneak one more phone call in there, Cory.
Let's do it. How about Brian and Wildemar? How about that?
Hey, Brian. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. Thanks for taking my call. I'm jumping the gun a little bit because this question is actually was supposed to be for Doug tomorrow. But I was wondering, what situations do you use 4-carrier braid, 8-carrier braid, 16-carrier braid? The braid on some of my reels, I'm trying to change out and don't know which way to go, when and where.
What a great question.
That's a pretty solid question for sure. You know, so 4-carrier braid is going to be your most abrasion resistant normally.
But explain that, because they're like
there's four strands making up the braid of heavier lines. So it's usually coarser. So guys that are fishing either low profile bass stuff or even conventional gear, I will put 4 carrier on it. But if you're fishing a spinning rod, I'm most of the time going to put like an 8 carrier on for you, just because it's a little softer on your finger. There's still excellent abrasion resistance.
Like Super Slick 8 would be one of them.
Exactly.
And traditional Power Pro would be 4.
Right,
Is 4.
exactly.
Like for kelp cutter, like the 4 carrier, if you're doing like a kelp cutter type rig.
And it's
a little more toothy.
It is, but it's weird for me that like the standard Power Pro, it lasts forever. Like it's more coarse, but it yet has longevity in life.
For sure.
Where the Super Slick 8, I mean, it's got longevity for a long time, right?
But not nearly the same as the traditional.
That's it.
Right,
Yes.
Right. And then 12 and 16 carriers are usually going to be your hollow braid. So hollow is great because, say a guy runs over your buoy while you're out sword fishing, now I can take a little needle and I can add line from where you got cut off versus having to take all the line that you already still have left on the reel and taking that off and repacking the new spool completely, so that's an advantage. But the disadvantage, if there is one to hollow braid, is that it does float. So me personally, I don't like to fish it a lot if I'm fly lining a bait, because I feel it does impede the bait driving down once in a while.
It's a great
if
call,
it does
Nick.
want to drive down.
Yeah, it's a great call.
That's
Good
it.
information.
Yeah.
With all that information, we're going to be right back on Let's Talk Hookup. We're going to find out who's won this $100 gift card when we return on the Let's Talk Hookup app and the Sports Grid Radio Network.
The name that stands out among anglers is Fisherman's Landing, your top choice in local and long-range fishing. Hi, this is Doug Kern. Our hardworking crew will make sure your fishing experience is one to remember. We offer the finest open party trips from 1 to 3 days, the best charter boats available, and of course, our world-renowned long-range fleet is second to none. Fisherman's Landing is a full-service operation offering great half-day trips on the Dolphin and full-day open party trips on the spacious and comfortable Liberty. Since we introduced the full-day trips at Fisherman's Landing, the 85-foot Liberty has become a favorite among full-day operations with bunks for your comfort, huge bait capacity, and RSW fish holds to keep your catch fresh. Plus, Liberty has a big modern galley and 2 interior heads with showers. All our open party trips from half-day, full, or 1 to 3 day trips can easily be booked online at fishermanslanding.com or give us a call at 619-221-8500. I'll see you at Fisherman's Landing in San Diego.
This is Captain Tim Ekstrom from the long-range vessel Royal Star. With my partners Randy Toussaint and Brian Sims, we have set the bar for the long-range fishing experience. Spring 8-day, summer 5-day, or a fly-down, fly-back 11-day winter trip, we deliver the highest quality long-range voyage you will find. From our premium RSW fish storage to our top-of-the-line chefs and crew, Royal Star distinguishes itself from all others. Want to grab a spot on the Royal Star? Check us out at royalstarsportfishing.com.
Chris, can you give me a heads up when we're at 1 minute out?
4764.
You got Saturday, November 2nd is Tackle
Thanks, buddy.
Day at Fisherman's Landing in San Diego. Seminars by saltwater expert, great deals on tackle, top tackle reps like AFTCO, Psycho Pro Fluorocarbon, and incredible deals on AFTCO clothing. Tackle Day at Fisherman's Landing, Saturday, November 2nd.
When it comes to fishing rods for saltwater, there's just one name you need to know, CalStar. Take, for example, the Graphiter series. It's a true graphite and fiberglass composite rod, the finest it's ever been built. And for anglers seeking traditional performance, durability, and quality at an affordable price, the CalStar West Coast series of rods and blanks are the ones for you. Their master craftsmen bring decades of rod building experience to every rod they make. So if you want your fishing rods to be truly state-of-the-art, I always recommend CalStar at fine tackle stores everywhere.
If there's one thing we like, it's choices. And your San Diego County Ford dealers is the place to start. With a full lineup of vehicles and available powertrains, get your ideal combination of power and capability with gas, hybrid, or all electric. But more important than the power you choose is what you choose to do with it. Visit your San Diego County Ford dealers today. They'll be glad to hook you up.
All right, welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup. Nick's got the coin. Go for it, Nick.
Yeah, we're going to find out who's got that $100 going to ECBT or Dana Landing or Lemon Grove Bait.
I know it. All the
$100
choices.
shopping spree to go have Nick dial you in.
And it's going to a texter.
Hey!
Happens to be Darren. Darren and Menifee. Congratulations, Darren.
Man, what a cool deal. Guys, I can't get over how fast 2 hours goes by.
Yeah,
We're
that's
talking
incredible.
about such good fishing, and what a great show this was. There's so much going on. We had so many texts to come through asking more about the skiffs, asking about everything you're doing. Give us the rundown if somebody wants to come fishing at Dana Landing. How do we find you guys? How do we do it?
We get us on the phone, 619-226-2929. On the web, danalanding.com. Pretty simple. And then also you can follow us on Instagram at Dana Landing. And that kind of covers your bases.
That's awesome. And skiff rental is available via the website
Via the website. Yeah. You just go on the website and click rentals.
Awesome.
Best deal in town, man.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. Nick, great job. Love to have you back. You guys were an awesome team. So much great information from swordfish to bay bass. You guys certainly do it all, and it was a great show and really enjoyed having you. And we really enjoyed having you. What a great show. Another great fun one tomorrow. Doug Kern from Fisherman's Landing Tackle is going to be joining us, talking all things tackle day. We'll be having a lot of fun there, seminars and sales and the whole nine. Big thanks to Adam for keeping us up on the app. Big thanks to Chris for keeping us on the air today. And we're looking forward to having you tomorrow morning, 7 to 9 a.m. It's Let's Talk Hookup on the Let's Talk Hookup app and the Sports Grid Radio Network.
Rick, I'll talk to you tomorrow, bro.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it, Chris.
You got it, man.
All right. See you in the morning.